Yeah, I said I'd go live again, and here we are. This time we're going to look at 0645 2017's open mic from Thursday. Because since he's actually, taking calls again, it's, there actually might be something interesting in there. Maybe not. I don't know. I never know for sure unless I pre-watch the video, which I don't usually do. Sometimes I do, but it just depends. But yeah, we're just gonna get right to it.
Evening, folks. Ken Hovind here in the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland in lovely Lenox, Alabama. Beautiful day out there today. We got a whole lot done on the Zipline Tower. Come on down and see it. You're not going to believe it. Anyway, it is March the 6th, 2025. Open mic. We take the position that the Bible is literally.
Ah, yes, the classic case of Kent's audio being lower than his respect for women, and it pausing like anything. I had some. I'm just going to use the word I feel like here, ass clown, complain about the audio levels on a video where Kent's video was low, and being like, mine shouldn't be at 1,000, indicating he obviously doesn't understand how volume works. Mine is normalized to the base 0 decibels that some of the stuff is measured at least the settings I use. It's Kent's audio that's down 20 and 30 decibels, meaning he's the one with the problem. His tech people need to learn how to normalize his volume. I shouldn't have to do it for them. I can't do it for them in any in any trivial way during this stream. And I'm not going to go through, download this whole video, compress it, then re-upload it to my channel or something just to do this. So that dude, who's obviously a troll anyway, can get fucked.
True and scientifically accurate, and evolution is the dumbest and most dangerous religious cult in the history of humanity. Prove me wrong. Call in with some questions if you'd like. We're on.
Oh, Kent, you've been proven wrong so many times. Constantly. Every time. It's not a religion. It's not dangerous. People use anything and everything to excuse horrible behaviors. And it's most certainly not a cult in any capacity, by any definition. You are wrong on all fronts.
On Twitter, on X, whatever that is.
Twitter and X are the same thing, you fucking moron. Why has no one told you this by now? Twitter doesn't exist. It's just X. Twitter's been dead, and this is a piece I've been meaning to write, is that Twitter long since died. And when after I left, I learned to just accept it. Maybe that's why I finally left, when I realized that Twitter itself was just dead. It evolved into something that I just don't care about. And, didn't care to be a part of anymore. But let's continue. I could spend all day saying old man doesn't understand shit. Riveting content here.
Our
There we
website,
go.
which has all the listing of all the channels that we're on. You can click one of them buttons and it'll take you somewhere and do something for you. You can watch TV for free. Okay. Be sure to like, share.
Hey, there we go. There's our friend subscribe button. Good to see you. And of course, Dino Lamp is still off. I had a thought yesterday, a pretty horrible thought, that maybe they turned the Dino Lamp off because I liked it. Maybe it works fine and they just chose to turn it off to spite me. Which would be kind of amazing if true. Simultaneously pathetic and hilariously targeted. And also just seems kind of mean. It's like, but it's your Dino Lamp. You're just hurting yourself with it not being turned on.
Comment and subscribe to our channel if you'd like, and share our message with other people. We're open for free. Go to drdino.com. You can join our 777 club. Say, I like what you're doing. I'm going to support you for $1 a day. $1 a day, 31 bucks a month if you can. Or call Bobby 855 Big Dino extension 1 if you got any questions. There's the website. Almost 9 years now. April 16th, it'll be 9.
God, this stream is fucking terrible. His audio's too low. It keeps cutting out completely. We had that black screen for a moment there. Like they just freaking closed the restream window. Oh, man. How hard is it to just set the volume level and keep it where it is? I never have to fidget with my volume. Unless I'm trying to mute yours when it's blown out, Kent.
9 years we've been open for free. So get our video series on science in the Bible, 18 hours, $50 when you're done watching it. Copy it if you like. Send it back, get your money back. Then we have a woe series. What on earth is about to happen, folks? We're headed for disaster on planet Earth. Okay, tonight, open mic challenge.
Seriously, is this even something I can honestly go through with the audio this low? I've got my stuff maxed and he's still quiet. Can y'all at least hear him enough to make this worthwhile? Because if not, I don't even want to bother with it.
There's a guy named, was it Bob Barker? I debated him years ago. He said there are a lot of contradictions in the Bible. No. Somebody asked a moron, he said, does Genesis 1 and 2 have different authors? This is Michael Birch. He said, yes, because Genesis combines contradictory creation accounts taken from different sources. A single author would not have included two contradictory creation accounts. Well, Michael, I'm sorry, you are very, very wrong. Let me get to some of the supposed contradictions in the Bible. Let's see, right here. Does Genesis 1 contradict Genesis 2? There we go. Okay.
Can't see shit, Captain. What the fuck, Kent?
Slide number 1680. Oh, GV 1680. Enter.
Ah, yes, but morons out there call my streams unwatchable. Kent calls AJ's streams unwatchable. Mm. But this is peak, riveting, top quality stuff. Someone get Kent Hovind's tech team a contract with Disney, because they're going to make Avengers 487, The Quest for More Mediocrity, the best goddamn looking film ever.
According to pathos.com, there are two creation stories in Genesis. I don't know who they are, but they're wrong, okay? There are also two creation stories at the beginning of Genesis. First, the 6-day creation, which enumerates the things God did.
But you know what creation story doesn't contain two separate versions? That of Tyria being born of the mists, and the six human gods stepping foot into the realm. There's only one story of that. Checkmate, Christianity.
After that, God rested. Next is an older creation story, the one about the Garden of Eden. This is pure baloney. Don't believe it. There. Okay. These guys say the two stories disagree. No, they don't. They're perfectly fine.
No, they do disagree, Kent. You saying nuh-uh doesn't make them agree.
On the day 6 story, that has the plants and animals made before the humans, while the Garden of Eden story has the opposite, and so on. Here's the supposed infidels and infrahells.com.org website. They said, in Genesis 1, the trees were created before man. Genesis 2, man was created before the trees. That's true. Okay. In Genesis 1, birds were created before man. In Genesis 2, man was created before the birds. That's true. Genesis 1, animals were created before man. In Genesis 2, man was created before animals. That's true. I'll explain why. In rational.
No, we really don't need you to explain why. Why don't you get to taking calls? Because I peeked ahead a bit at this, and our friend Creationist Crybaby / Big Bad Mama shows up. So that's something to look forward to, and I think that might be one of the only reasons I'm doing this.
Wiki, they say there are Bible contradictions. The first one they mention is the creation week is wrong. Well, the Bible claims to be the Word of God. So is it or isn't it? 1969, I gave my heart to the Lord, got saved. I had a 1963 Volkswagen that would go 0 to 60, maybe.
I don't care, Kent.
If the wind was behind you, okay. And my mom got kind of worried about me going to the little independent Baptist church. And she said, "You're getting a little right-wing radical here, son. Let me calm you down and send you to the Methodist church camp." So they sent me off to Methodist church camp for a week in the summer. The first night, the counselor got the boys together in the cabin and said, "Boys, I'm a humanist." I said, "Well, do you believe the Bible?" He said, "Oh, no, contradictions." I said, "Show me one." I mean, I've been saved maybe 4. He said, "Well, in Genesis 1, on the third day, yeah, then he made the waters brought."
Yes, Justin. Some days I stream several times. I stream several times because this is fun. Don't know what else to say.
Forth the fowl on the 5th day. So the birds are being made out of the water. Then on day 6, God made the living creatures out of the ground, out of the earth, and then he made man. Yep. When you read chapter 2, the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man who he had formed, and out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree. Wait, I thought the world was already full of trees from day 3. Contradiction? Oh, no, perfectly fine. And the Lord said, "It's not good for the man to be alone. I will make an help meet for him." And out of the ground, the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air.
What's interesting is hearing that right there makes it seem like every single creature is a golem spell intrinsically, which is probably what the original version of the creation story that got compiled into Genesis 2 is talking about.
Wait, I thought he made the animals before man in chapter 1, and now he's making animals after man in chapter 2. And in chapter 1, he made the birds out of the water. And now in chapter 2, he's making birds out of the ground. Contradiction? No, it's perfectly fine. Chapter 1 has the plants and the trees made on day 3. Chapter 2 has the plants and trees made on after man on day 6. Chapter 1 has birds.
Oh man, just the audio quality being audio volume being so low. The constant drops in video quality. This stream is This stream is what happens if two kids riding in Power Wheels both were going down hills that end up in a small valley and they ram into each other. And they're not really hurt at all because they were going like 10 miles an hour each. But they all got boo boos somewhere, and so they're crying hysterically. And their parents come running, screaming, "Oh my God, my baby! Oh my God, my baby!" And then get into a freaking fight with each other because your kid hurt my kid, and then your kid hurt my kid, and then next thing you know, the cops are there, and I don't know. That's the kind of just stupid train wreck disaster that this stream is. Where everything's just fucking garbage.
Birds made out of the water, day 5. Chapter 2 has birds made out of the dirt on day 6. Chapter 1 has animals made before man. Chapter 2 has animals made after man. Not a problem at all. Hovind, how can you say that? Well, read it carefully. Day 3, God made the plants. Day 5, he made the birds out of the water. Day 6, he made animals, and then he made.
Now, as an excuse to interrupt Hovind, because, like anyone needs an excuse to interrupt Hovind, I just want to point out that our friend Seth here is excited for this being a whacking of the Hovind, and is expressing thoughts that I believe are very similar to, if not identical to, all the rest of my lovely audience. And I'm not trying to knock y'all for this, because I, of course, understand the nature of lolcows, watching lolcows, and those of you who grew up fundamentalist, like Seth, feeling damaged if one can use that verbiage. Having felt attacked, having felt lied to by Hovind, but even those who otherwise would never have known about him, wanting to see and hear my ridicule of him. If anyone is obsessed, it's my lovely audience, but still not in a bad way. Because as I must stress, this is simply one of the lolcows we've decided to latch onto and milk laughs from. That's just how this stuff works. That's just a thing on the internet. It's an interesting social phenomena, honestly. And some lolcows I feel bad for. And then you realize they usually deserve it. Virtually always deserve it because they do something themselves. I just have to stress the nuance on this because some people just don't get it. And if they still can't get it, that's their problem, not mine.
Made man, and then he put man in the garden. Then God made trees in the garden that are good for food. The rest of the world is full of trees. This is only describing what happened in the garden. Then he made one more of each animal out of the ground, including the birds, so that Adam could name them and select a wife. The rest of the world's already full of animals and birds. Adam saw God create things. Eve did not. Adam was first formed.
Yeah, so Eve had to trust what Adam said, so he could have said any old thing. Makes you think.
Then Eve. Adam was not deceived. Eve was deceived.
I'm not saying crush the patriarchy, but that seems like some patriarchy bullshit right there. You know what I mean?
So, no, I'm sorry. It's not a contradiction. Try again. I have, if you get comments, brother, put them up, but I got another.
Oh man, the formatting on this slide, I would always crack the joke that he updated his slides to at least be in HD, but note the formatting. That the text still follows a 4:3 aspect ratio. This is, and I could probably find it in the archive I have of the 2003 seminar slides. This is the same slide. It's just PowerPoint on, modern PowerPoint on a typical widescreen display is going to format the background. This is untouched. This slide, this PowerPoint slide is older than my website, which I should remind everyone turns 18 this year in like a week. And we are totally going to be doing a stream, not on that per se, but like a celebratory stream. That's just a little side thing. God, this slide is positively ancient. It's almost as old as the Bible itself. Kent.
Want to come on?
Oh, okay.
He's got like 14 different names he goes by, right, on our channel, trying to sneak in. Okay, let me go ahead, put him up there for a second.
Trying to sneak in. How is he trying to sneak in? Creationist Crybaby, Big Bad Mama have two names they've used. Unless you're referencing the sneaking in as in leaving comments and the like, but with the way y'all are to censor opposition.
Oh, can't hear it. Got to have headphones on. There. Can you hear me? Go ahead. I cannot hear him at all. He's muted on his end.
Sorry, Kent. How are you?
Sure, I'm overworked and underpaid, but I never complain.
Could you answer that question any other way? Everyone's heard your I'm not going to say the word. I'm going to be good today. Your stupid joke. Your stupid joke. Trying to be good.
Okay. I'd like to talk about Charles Darwin. I don't think you give him enough credit for the work that he did, because I know that you agree with his work in natural selection. And I think you would also agree that he introduced the novel concept of sexual selection.
All right, sexual selection. Uh, you know, as the flood was going on and things were dying, Was God just getting like buku kill streak bonuses? Was he just dropping tac nukes and UAVs and like satellite lasers like left, right, and center? Just cause he had nothing else to do? I mean, and afterwards the lobby had to suck. There'd be nobody left. Everyone rage quit. And then never logged back in. Huh. Oh, oh my god, I have an idea. Take one of those old movies about like the flood or something, and put in Halo announcer sound effects. Killtastic! Kilimanjaro! That'd be great.
Which is the critical role that the opposite sex plays in evolution. So I think you would agree with those things at least. So why don't you give him any credit?
Well, first of all, slow down. Charles Darwin, uh, people already knew about natural selection. He gave it more credit than he should have. Charles Darwin was a loser as a child. His dad was worried about him. His dad was a medical doctor.
Ah, yes, and we have Creationist Crybaby here. Welcome, my friend.
Kid had no incentive to do anything. His dad sent him off to medical school and he flunked out. So then he went to theology, majored in theology. Dad was going to get him a job in the church.
And he was 10th in his class at Cambridge.
Tyler, I try to be good and use it sparingly, even though I personally can abstract that word from its pejorative usage, or not pejorative. It's outright offensive usage in its original context of inhibit, as in he is mentally inhibited, which is where the rude version of it came. Y'all know what I mean. I still try to work on that, but it's really hard having been someone who grew up in the 90s.
Graduated with a theology degree.
In a theology, right?
Right.
He's not a biologist. Okay.
Well, he was already doing science. He was already doing entomology. He was studying geology. He was already doing work.
He was a bug collector.
Yeah, and collecting bugs and studying bugs and the like. You can get a lot of interesting info from that on how they evolved. You can get a large sample size of similar yet still distinct creatures. Bugs are pretty damn fascinating. Like, they really are. It's just they're so otherworldly, and we're biologically, I hate to use the phrase, pre-programmed to find them icky for the most part, that it can become unsettling at points. But that's only a side effect of, hey, if there's bugs around, there's probably some uncleanliness. Avoiding uncleanliness means you live longer. And so that got selected by our ancestors. Isn't the universe fun when you understand evolution? Makes a whole lot of sense.
People are bug collectors, okay? That's entomology. To study, I studied lots of things too. Didn't make me an expert.
No, you fucking didn't, Kent. You ain't studied a fucking thing. You barely know the Bible worth a damn. Beyond what's in your fucking slides and what you happen to have memorized. You don't know jack about diddly fucking ass. Alright? Oh, you fucking idiot. Oh. I can't even with you, dude. Pulling out the basic card. I can't even with Kent right now. At least I'm laughing.
I don't think. Charles Darwin, then, is it true that his dad was worried about him when he got out of college? He couldn't get a job, so he could put him on a boat for 5 years to sail.
Is that completely irrelevant? Yes. Even if that was the case. Even if that was exactly how it came about. It's fucking irrelevant to the particular nuances that Darwin noticed. Particular things. Which have later been verified. I forget what I was watching earlier, but it was Professor Dave. He's covering the thing where the dude rips pages out of an evolutionary book after he makes some stupid creationist point and throws it in the trash. Some Prager video, or no, it's an Answers in Genesis video, and he was like, they have to do this thing where the Christians have to do this thing where they place Darwin, as some kind of prophet. You got a book and a prophet. Oh, we've got a book and a prophet. You've got to have a book and a prophet. As if the last 200 years of, science and stuff are just irrelevant. It's like Darwin wouldn't even recognize the concept of evolution if he saw what it has become, far beyond anything he had conceived. But they just want to hand wave that away.
Around as the unpaid naturalist on HMS Beagle. Is that true?
Right, which he did pretty valuable work in terms of natural selection on that journey.
Okay. Well, what he discovered
And so
was
even though, let me just finish one thing.
Okay.
Even though he didn't come up with natural selection, he did the systematic work to show that it was a major mechanism in evolution. Go ahead, Kevin.
well, I agree. Natural selection is a major work to keep the species strong, and it didn't create anything new, though.
Why would you need to keep the species strong? That's an interesting thing. Why would God's perfect creatures need to stay strong? Why would they weaken? What are they weakening against? What are you getting at? And what if staying strong involves some novel mutation? Something having changed quite further than what you'd normally think of it. Like, I don't know, what if some creatures that need to incubate eggs had some weird hair-like structures on them? We found them with that. Hairs act as insulation. That's why mammals have fur, wear hairy. Huh. What if, this isn't quite hair, but they're hair-like, so we can use that as an analogy. What if they sort of unfurled a certain way? And so they had a larger surface area to trap in more heat. And so they could keep the eggs even warmer and act as a little blanket over them. Now, what if, and just hear me out, given that, if we look at those shapes and see aerodynamic properties in them, just happens to be that kind of curve. What if some of those creatures happen to realize that they can glide? They notice they can jump and kind of keep going. Or they don't even have to notice it because it really doesn't matter that they are aware of it. It's just normal for them. But compare that to their compatriots that might not have that advantage of those little hairs that they already had, hair-like things they already had, widening out. Seems like you could escape predators. Seems like you could get more range, You could glide to places. Yeah, it's not hard to figure this stuff out. You get A and you see C, and you begin to be able to piece B together really easy. And this is just me going off the cuff, Kent. I know we all know what I'm talking about. Dinosaur feathers. Y'all only see the feather as a flight mechanism when that's really a nice side effect of what the feathers were actually first beneficial to. Was, hey, they told in a little more heat. So my offspring, who also are going to have this gene for these slightly more, widened little hair follicles, they're going to probably, make it. Little steps at a time. Tiny steps add up. Thank you for listening, audience. I realize I just went on a complete rant about hair stuff for their feathers for no reason other than the fact I just felt like doing it. Just for fun. I probably got 500 comments from you guys saying, get on with it. But it's better than hearing Hovind. But then again, we also don't get to hear Christian's crybaby give Hovind the what for in a very refined way. Let's continue while I check out your messages.
Charles Darwin hated birds. He shot hundreds of birds, and he collected the finches on the Galapagos Islands. And based on their beak shape, he determined that each island had a different type of finch. And because some islands had a harder food supply, nuts to crack, they have to have heavier beak. So the
nuts for crack? Is that how you made it through college, Kent? Nuts for crack. I know I'm not talking about his early college years. I'm talking about Patriot Bible trailer. Nuts for crack, anyone? You know what I mean.
Finches with a skinny beak couldn't survive, so they either moved to a different island or died off. Sure.
Right.
Natural
That was
selection
valuable. That
works.
was valuable work.
Natural selection works fine. It doesn't create anything.
Right. But
It
will you
takes
give him credit for that?
people already knew about this. Farmers for centuries have been doing this
No, they
naturally.
had not. They had not nearly done the work that he did on natural selection. And also, you blame him for the rise of the Nazis and anti-Semitism. Are you saying there was no anti-Semitism before Darwin published his first work?
Oh, there's been racism and anti-Semitism, anti-Norwegianism, anti.
Oh, the anti. Fuck you, Kent. Fuck you. This man just compared himself to the Jews during the Holocaust. Because of course he did. To be honest, I kind of think the man would be a denier of that event. I think he might actually legitimately just lie, just to try to make it seem like he knows that even if he was to go that far, people wouldn't stand for it. It's like him talking about, oh, I believe they went to the moon, but the camera was bad, so they had to refilm it. It's like maybe he actually thinks they completely faked it, and he just doesn't want to admit it. Yeah, Kent. Lots of horrible things have been around throughout all of human history. So you can't peg those particular events explicitly on your weird straw man lie of an interpretation on what the concept of evolution is. Quit lying. Thank you, CC, for calling him out on this.
Germanism, anti-everything.
I'm
Every
talking about
race thinks
Europe.
this.
I'm talking about Europe when he, before Darwin published his first work, there was major anti-Semitism in every country. In fact, Martin Luther himself made anti-Semitic remarks.
Oh, sure. And there's always been people who were against blacks and people who were against Polish people, and there's been racial national conflicts going on for thousands of years. Darwin didn't invent that.
Yeah, Kent. Now, can you extrapolate what that means? It's not hard, buddy.
So I don't know what you mean.
Well, you seem to blame Darwin for the rise of the Nazi regime and anti-Semitism in that regime. And I'm just saying it already existed in those countries before Darwin came on. Go ahead.
Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't blame him for the rise of it. He sure
Yeah, Kent, you did. You state that evolutionism is the source behind communism, Nazism. So yeah, you are saying
put
that.
fuel on the fire, though. Hitler loved Darwin's book, and Hitler said he
No, he
used
didn't.
Darwin's book as a justification to kill Jews. He said, well, look at the title page of Darwin's book. By means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life.
Well,
Darwin thought some races were.
Can I address that real quick? The mention of favored races in the subtitle of Origin of Species refers to variations within species which survive to leave more offspring. It doesn't imply racism. So I think that's been okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, Hitler took it to that extreme. Hitler,
but that's not Darwin's. That's not Darwin's fault.
Well, no, but Hitler used Darwin as his justification for eliminating anybody who was inferior to the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryan.
Interrupting Hoven's garbage. We got Choppa Dave in the chat. Everyone say hey to Choppa Dave. Do it now. That was terrible. Get to the Choppa now. Yeah. I don't know. Just like the name. And I always got to shout out somebody random just cause people show up out of nowhere and it's like, hey, you showed up. Thanks. Well, not like that. It's like, hey, I'm glad you're here.
Darwin's book. But it's ancient history. I mean, it's what, 175 years ago now. So, but there are still people today who think there are superior races. Racism has always been a problem with humanity. And it's sad. It shouldn't be.
I agree.
Yeah, except you're one of those racists, Kent. Whether you think you are or not, you are.
So I go through how Darwin's book and many others of that time frame, Hitler read those books and was strongly influenced by them to think, well, I wonder who the superior race is. It's got to be the Germans. And that's what they taught their schools. You should get the German textbooks from that World War II era.
Yes, he is most definitely doubling down on the worst hill. Custer's last stand looks like the storming of Normandy compared to what Kent is doing right now.
And see what they were teaching the kids. Look what
Well,
Hamas is.
I'd probably agree that they were, pretty bad. I mean,
We'll go to Palestine. Look at Hamas teaches their kids in school. They keep using that phrase, from the river to the sea, from the river.
Yeah, and look at all the stuff that God Emperor President Carrot is saying about people from, other countries who might not happen to be the typical WASP. Huh. Oh, but no, he's just making America great again. He's sticking it to them damn libs. It's up yours.
In other words, we should kill all the Jews and take over this land. It's ingrained in the kids before they can read. And so this evolution. And evolution is getting put into kids before they can read. Get a kindergarten book on dinosaurs. First page will say millions of years ago.
Because they existed millions of years ago, which is not part of the scientific theory of evolution. You dumbass.
It's a propaganda campaign to teach evolution. That's my point.
Well, I would say Darwin himself was far less racist than his contemporaries. And I would say that slavery, since Darwin's day, has markedly decreased throughout the world.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
I mean, evolution.
Oh, are you referring to the prison system, Kent? Which, yes, is really, really screwed up. And yeah, there are more slaves now than at any other point in history because our population is so much higher. The percentage of people who exist that are slaves is down, but the number's still higher. So it depends on how you measure things. A lot of people never want to accommodate for percentages of actual, like, numbers of people. What's a per capita thing? But regardless, Kent's, gonna try to sit there and act like his white collar prison sentence, his, college dorm time was what was slavery. Bitch, please.
Itself demonstrates that that Homo sapiens are basically a homogenous, genetically speaking. It actually gives rise to less racism than more racism. It's a misrepresentation of evolution that gives rise to racism.
Well, my whole ministry and my point for 35 years has been nobody has ever seen or observed what they claim happened with their silly charts of everything coming from a common ancestor. We see varieties of dogs, we see varieties of hummingbirds, we see varieties of cows, and that's where it stops. We don't see evidence that cows and hummingbirds had a common ancestor. It's just not observable. And I would.
Except we have all kinds of evidence for that. Also, in case you're not in, drop the Discord link in the chat. It's good for 30 minutes, so get it while the getting's good.
I wish you guys who believe this religion of evolution would keep it in a private school and get it out of our public schools, because it's not science. Science where we can observe, study, test, and demonstrate. We don't observe these family trees. It's propaganda. That's all it is. It's a propaganda poster. Let's see. I'll show you here. Anyway.
Yeah, it really does boil down to the fact that Kent is truly horrible. That's objectively true. To view otherwise is to outright deny things he clearly, explicitly has done, can do, and will do. And yeah, as much fun as it is to entertain y'all, the core catalyst for me doing this is to add my voice, whatever value it has, to the greater awareness of the scumbag that Kent Hovind is, and to provide entertainment while I do such. That's why I started doing this. I was inspired by people like AJ and the like. been an interesting 6 months, and I definitely plan to continue doing this. Um, sometimes I forget the reality of how much harm this man can, has, and will continue to cause. So, yeah, say it with me now. Fuck you, Kent.
Okay. Well, you've seen my
Th-
family tree.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kent. I
Yeah.
appreciate talking
All
to
right.
you,
Thank you.
and
All right,
we'll talk
come
again.
visit.
Okay,
All
take
right.
care.
Come
I
visit.
will. I will come visit again.
We'd
Thanks.
love to have you.
Bye.
Okay.
Hi, Joseph. By the way, if you're there.
Joseph's over there. Yep. Okay. Trying to keep everything going. Okay. You have any other questions coming up there, brother? There's another supposed contradiction that the people love to point out. Matthew chapter 1. Let's see. Right here.
And instead of elaborating on any of that conversation, he just goes right back to his contradictions in the Bible time filler. It's like, wow. You're not going to elucidate a little further, buddy? No? You're incapable of doing that. I don't even think you're entirely lucid. Also, his face is pretty fucking red right there. What's up with that?
This guy, Dan Barker, said there are lots of contradictions in the Bible.
Yeah, Dan Barker. We called Bob Barker earlier. God damn, Kent.
He said Matthew chapter 1 contradicts the genealogy in Luke. No, it doesn't. Read it carefully, Dan. You guys need to learn to read carefully, okay? In Matthew, it says, the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begat Isaac, and it goes through all this begat. And Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus. Ah, okay.
Let me read from the early history of Tyria. In the distant past, great giants roamed the land and dragons ruled the skies. The elder race, dwarves, Forgotten, Jotun, Mersat, and Seers, were among the most magically adept. They had they had thriving civilizations until the elder dragons arrived and devastated both the land and the inhabitants of their ravenous search for magic. The elder dragons' actions diminished the elder races as a result and even caused the extinction of several other once notable races like the great giants. Huh. I could just do this. Every time Kent reads something out of the Bible, I could just read something from Guild Wars lore. It's more enjoyable. Hey Kent, can you tell me Oreen's relation to Krokatoric? No? Really? I didn't think so. You know nothing of Glint and her works. You know nothing of the sacrifice that. Oh, fuck, what was his name? Vlast. Sacrifice that Vlast made against Balthazar to save the commander. You respect none of that. Heathen scum.
When you look in Matthew and Luke, it's the genealogy is the same from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah, Pharez, Hezron, until you get to Salmon. Then it goes to Boaz, Obed, Jesse, David, all the same. And then it switches, not because there's a contradiction, it's following a different son. Jesus himself began to be about 30 years of age, being, as was supposed, the son of Joseph. He was not the son of Joseph, but he grew up in Joseph's house. He was his stepson. He was the son of Mary, which was the.
Yeah, that's just perfectly normal. I'm just gonna impregnate dude's wife, and he's just gotta fucking deal with it. It's pretty fucking horrible. And like she had a say in it. Why are you so red, Kent? It's disturbing.
The son of Heli. So it's giving the genealogy of Joseph in the book of Luke. So,
Yeah, they really should have spayed and neutered the Hovend. Not just this Hovend, but the previous Hovend should have never existed. I would say he should have got his shins blown off in WW2, but Cotton Hill is a better human being than Hovend or Hovend's daddy.
so in Matthew, it gives the genealogy. Let's see, Shealtiel, Zerubbabel, all these guys. Then it goes Eleazar, Matthan, Jacob, Joseph to Jesus. Then in Luke, it's different. Here's the reason it's different. It's very simple. In Jesus' genealogy in Matthew, Matthew traces the genealogy from Jesus to Abraham. Luke traces the genealogy from Jesus to Adam, all the way back. There's good reason to believe Matthew and Luke are, in fact, tracing entirely different genealogies. For example, Matthew gives Joseph's father as Jacob. Luke gives Joseph's father as Heli. Matthew traces the line through David's son Solomon, which means Jesus had the right to be king. Luke traces the line through David's son Nathan, who was the priest, David's priest. And in fact, between David and Jesus, the only names the genealogies have in common are Shealtiel and Zerubbabel. So Matthew is following the line of Joseph, Jesus' legal father, through David, Solomon's son.
Was God paying child support for that kid? Yeah, just saying.
David's son.
I mean, seriously, I'd have been fucking pissed. I think anyone would be. Hey, Kent, your God's a rapist.
Sorry, David's son Solomon. Luke is following the line of Mary, Jesus' blood relative, through David's son Nathan. Nathan was the prophet. We see that back in 2 Samuel 7. It came to pass that night that the word of the Lord came unto Nathan. He was the prophet. He was David's son, but a different son than Solomon. Nathan's the one who came to David and his own dad. God told him, you go tell your dad he messed up with Bathsheba.
All right, and so that I can interject from Kent for a while and tell you all much better story content, we will continue with the history of Tyria. At the end of the previous Dragon Rise millennia ago, the Seers created the first Bloodstone to seal their and other races' magic within it to hide it from the Elder Dragons. Recall, the Elder Dragons, I don't think anyone's going to know this, but the Elder Dragons feed on magic, and they tend to destroy everything they come across. That's the pivotal thing with this element of the Guild Wars universe. While most of the Elder races gave up their magic, the Mersat, however, refused and waged a war against the Seers before betraying the other races in an alliance and phasing into the mists. Deprived of their sustenance, many Elder Dragons eventually concentrated around Central Tyria before going into hibernation to wait for levels of ambient magic to rise so they could feast once more. I'll go on and read the next bit because it's relevant to the reference I made earlier. Glint, the Elder Dragon Kralkatorix champion who had been freed by a forgotten ritual, shielded the surviving races through the calamity until it was safe for them to emerge again. During this time, some Tyrians like the Jotun regressed into savage brutes or lost their former powers, while many other races like the Char, Kodan, and Tengu became more prominent. Little information from this time has survived to present day, except for some ancient writings like Mersat lore tablets or Jotun stele. Coming up next, the six gods come to Tyria. But let's see what more Kent has to say.
And he did. You can read the story in 2 Samuel. The king said to Nathan, I dwell.
The king said to Nathan, I do it. Oh, that's perfect.
By blending the kingly line of David's son Solomon with the priestly line of David's son Nathan, Jesus had the right to be both king and priest. There's not a contradiction. One's tracing
Story's still stupid to me either way.
Mary, one's tracing Joseph. So I love it when these atheists say they want so badly to not believe the Bible that they'll look for anything. And if you answer all their contradictions, they'll just come back with 10 more. Like some husbands want so badly to leave their wife that they'll think of anything they can to make her look bad, or vice versa, you know.
Oh, there we go. I knew it was coming. Soon as he said husband, I'm like, oh, he's gonna turn this around and make and try to make the women seem bad, haven't? Oh, poor Kent. Where's Sandra been? I still hadn't seen her. She's not around.
Think of anything. Gotta make them look bad. So you look good. Well, the atheists are trying so hard to make the Bible look like it has a contradiction. If you think there are more, there's a book that we sell by Peter Ruckman called the so-called errors in the King James Bible.
You know, there are 3 books that were published to transition from the story from Guild Wars to Guild Wars 2, because there's like a 250-year gap, somewhere around that range, or 150-year gap, something like that. Ghost of Ascalon and 2 others, which I have not had the chance to read. Ghost of Ascalon was really nice, so if you want some nice fantasy fiction, those will do you.
Bible. I don't. Here we go. Right here. Look at that. Right under my miniature Noah's Ark. Here. This is excellent. Peter Ruckman, I knew him a little bit. I had a lot of his students working.
I'm sure you knew him, if you know what I mean. Harvard, he loves Jesus almost as much as he loves, well, I can't say. Harvard.
Camp there in our ministry in Pensacola. He was brilliant. Bible Baptist Church in Pensacola. Rude, crude, crass, mean, but brilliant. Okay. The so-called errors in the King James Bible. Can you look it up, Joseph? How much is this book? He covers quite a few of the supposed contradictions. But after you.
But you know what story has no contradictions? Legacy of the Gods. Let's continue reading. The arrival of the 6 gods and humanity from the mists in 786 BE was a turning point in Tyria's history. According to the Orient history scrolls and various myths of other races, the gods terraformed the land they walked on, restoring life to where it had been taken in the Dragon Rise. Now, the thing to understand about the Guild Wars universe is that this homogeneous essence of the universe called the mists is everywhere and is where everything spawns from. It is infinite magic, infinite possibilities. Tyria is a full-ass planet that just spawned from the mists, and that's where the human gods came from. They just walked out of the mists one day, and humanity came with them. Way better story than what Kent's been wasting his life on.
You read it and answer all the atheist questions. They're not going to believe. Huh? $36 if you want to get this. Go to drdino.com. We have a lot of stuff on the King James and why you
call FFI Big Dildo extension 666 and have fun chat with me live. Can you handle the Hovend? We're gonna find out.
better use the King James on our website, drdino.com. Okay, let's see. Any other questions there, brother? Yes.
Oh my god, they finally fixed his volume. What the fuck? It has been 21 minutes and they fixed his volume. Holy hell.
Do all atheists believe in evolution? I don't know that. I've never met one that didn't. See, you have to have an explanation.
And there the volume goes right back down. Holy fuck, this man's red. Stay out of the sun, Kent. God damn. That man's fucking cherry. And lemon bunt cake has been procured. I love how none of y'all are commenting on the Guild Wars lore I'm reading. I feel so betrayed. Y'all are like, dude, you made a Guild Wars reference. Yeah, I want to hear more about Guild Wars. I want to see you play Guild Wars. And no one's commenting. I'm reading the straight shit. I'm speaking the truth here about Tyria. And y'all are just like, I don't care. Makes me feel bad, man.
How did the world get here? I think most folks would agree we're here. So how did we get here? What started the world? Where did the energy come from? Where did time come from? Where did space come from? Where did matter come from?
Time and space are the same thing, and the entirety of the aspects of the universe that you're going to describe are all intrinsic properties of existence in and of itself. If y'all would like, I currently have a idea based on what random crap I know about the possible state of the pre-Big Bang universe. For what value it would have to discussing anything. It's more scientifically valid than the Hovend theory, but that's not saying much. And I don't pose it as anything other than just this is what I think was going on, what I can figure out. But I don't know. Not that it really matters. But if you wonder, I could tell you.
Where did life come from? And there's only 2 options. somebody made this place, or nobody made it. It made it.
No, it's not the only two options, and that's not the description of the nobody made it, it made itself is not a valid construct.
Itself. If you think of a third option, let me know what it is. But if somebody made it, that would mean he owns it. And we believe God created the world and he owns it, and he's got a right to make the rules. Atheists don't like those rules. So they would rather come up with a theory of how the earth made itself from a big bang where a dot of near nothing exploded. That's real stupid. Tell them I said so. And
Hey Kent, I need to remind you, no one gives a fuck about you. We don't give a fuck about you. You're just a lol cow. You get like cap 2,000 views on anything you put out. You're a pathetic, washed-up old man who the rest of the world has had the misfortune of having to share the planet with for far longer than we should have.
did we get any calls from last night's program inviting all the atheists at the rallies to? I'll take them all on for a debate.
Debate me, bro. Debate me, Harvard. Once again, Kent, you want to balk, but you still have not gotten in contact with me to plan anything. Because that's one of the requirements. You have to get up off your lazy ass and do something. So, right back at you, fucktard.
Yeah, I'll take them all on. Okay, any others there, brother? Do dogs go to heaven? There are three different types of life forms on planet Earth. There is plant life, which, as far as we can figure out, only has a body. There is animal life, which has a body and a consciousness of life. And there is man, which has a body, a consciousness of life, and a consciousness of God.
So fungi, bacteria, and all kinds of other things that defy classification because I'm not up to snuff on my biology. Fully acknowledge that, though, unlike Kent. Those just don't exist according to him. I mean, I'm sure he just classified them all as plants, which is really fucking dumb. But, you know, he's also a fucking dinosaur himself.
There's something different between humans and all the rest of the animals.
No, there isn't. If you want to talk about intelligence, dolphins, some ways smarter than us. Elephants are pretty on par. We just happen to be apes. And so this body plan just happens to be one that a lot of interesting advantages can be taken of when combined with that kind of intelligence. It's a real unique place we happen to have. Rats are really smart. Cats are smart, they're just jerks. Dogs can be pretty smart. A lot of birds are super intelligent. The only thing that makes us special happens to be how our intelligence combines with our body morphology and what we can do with what we have. That's really it. But you guys think we're magic special things. I think it's far more magical, far more special, far more powerful to realize we are connected to all the other life on the world. But apparently people like you see that as weakness. Which I guess that's all you can see as weakness. You certainly see it every morning when you look in the mirror.
Call it a soul or spirit, whichever you want, but there's a difference. No, animals don't go to heaven, to my knowledge. Now, we do see horses in heaven coming back on horses, so I couldn't prove they don't, but maybe my wife's pug will get straightened.
Thank you, Choppa Dave. That is exactly what I've been saying. In the honest, broad sense of stuff, who gives a flying fuck how we got here? It really doesn't fucking matter. We exist, just fucking deal with it. If you're curious about the origins of stuff, sure. But they act like it is the most major thing, and it's like, not really. It can be an impactful thought. A person can get kind of obsessed. But quite honestly, I'd rather housing not be near impossible to get for most people than any of the shit you care about to be focused on. So, Kent, on to USA.
Doubt if they go to heaven. Get the tongue out in the middle instead of on the side, one eye crooked and all that. That's it. Open mic challenge, and nobody wants to come in and defend your. Oh, crybaby, thank you. Yep. Get him converted.
Yeah, look, I already forgot that CC had called in because, of course.
Okay. If you watch my video series, I cover lots of different topics.
Yeah, all of them poorly.
On seminar part 7, question answer, it's 5 hours long. I cover some of the supposed contradictions, if you want that, and why I'm a Baptist and not other religions. I did a show today with a guy who said, I understand you were raised Lutheran.
Yeah, Moss Eater. I mean, I legitimately am interested in subjects like abiogenesis, planetary formation, Big Bang cosmology, nucleosynthesis, all of these individual pieces from a standpoint of what can we learn, what information can we glean. But when it boils down to actively caring about the universe's origins, about our origins, I don't give a flying fuck. Whatever is discovered in the quest for information, okay, that's interesting. But the actual raw, question, I just don't fucking care. And I'm tired of people like Kent who act like it's the be all end all. I don't. It's in my nature to be curious about how things work, so I am more inclined to wonder about this, that, and the other than possibly a lot of lay people. But yet, it's interesting then that I don't care about that level of, like the origin of everything is an irrelevant concept to me. More curious about how, elements of this computer work. I spent half the morning studying up on obscure Linux processes and streamlining them. I cut the memory usage on my BBS's server in half. And you can too with my 6 easy steps. All calculated using ChatGPT. Oh yeah. I go straight for garbage. But all seriousness, I did improve the server some, so that's a plus. And it's like, I care about that. I legitimately care about that. If I watch a piece on just, Big Bang cosmology, it's interesting as fuck. But I don't care about it in the same way, if that makes sense.
And your mother was Lutheran. And, what do they believe and what's.
And Jess, hey.
Difference, right? Does that show? Did we publish that already? Okay. He's going to edit it and put it, and then put it up on his channels.
Good point, Cassius. Yeah, it is less that no one called and more like they didn't want Ken to embarrass himself further. Very good point.
And we'll put it up on ours. So if you'd like me to, I'd love to do 2 or 3, 4, 5 shows a day. So if you want me on your channel, on your podcast or something, please call 855-BIG-DINO. Call Joseph, extension 4. I'd like to have Ken on my channel. I'd be glad to do it. I want to help. Sure.
Yeah. Why don't you go reaching out to channels that you might find interesting? Oh, wait, I forgot. You can't open your laptop unsupervised without wiring all of your church funds to somebody in Nigeria.
Trouble. I mean, to help people believe the Bible. Okay, see you tomorrow. Another open mic challenge. Tell your atheist friends. Call in, you brave coward. I mean, you brave keyboard warrior.
You brave coward and fucking keyboard warrior. Kent, your fucking cronies all leaving random comments on my shit. They're the keyboard warriors. Also, this still falls into the debate me, bro, debate me thing that he does, where it's like, dude, you act like the be all end all is everyone directly interacting with you. No. People who don't like you are under no obligation to actively interact with you. They can passively interact just as well. Just like the people who don't like me can do shit passive if they want to. I don't have to actively interact with them and vice versa. Should they choose to, should they come here and be dumbasses, that's their own business, and I react accordingly. You do the same, people come into your stuff and, they try to start some crap. Say, do any profanity or anything, and we'll ban you for 6 bazillion years, Harvard. It's like, okay, it's your prerogative. God damn, stop acting like debates are the be-all, end-all. It's not shit. Honestly, a lot of the community is pretty sick of the whole debate game too, Kent. Not just with you, but like with everyone. Everyone's a little burnt out on the whole debate thing, as it just goes in circles. Sometimes you get some interesting stuff, but at a point we only really watch stuff because of people, not because of, the debate itself that's happening, the subject matter. Now, here comes the question. Do y'all want me to go on and move on to yesterday's? Because right now it is 6:36, and yesterday's stream was an hour long, damn near. So that means we would be here for a while. But if y'all want me to do that, let me know in the chat. In the meantime, I'm going to read a little bit more of the history of Tyria in the Legacy of the Gods. So give me just a moment, while you awesome people decide amongst yourselves if you want me to go on and do yesterday's stream as well, because I'll do it. I'd be even more apt to do it if I got some super chats, just saying. Can't make it a toxic community not doing anything but to encourage it. Yeah, that's all he does is encourage it. But yes, here now is far more important than the beginning of the universe. See, I need to get a message like that, like made into a shirt. Does that mean more of you than yes? And that's what really makes me just smile so much. I always love the way you guys encourage me, because it's just like, oh, you come here for me. Yeah, we're mocking Hovind, but I could put up damn near anything, and if you take interest, you'll come. Come. Okay, I guess we're doing a small bit. Let me do a palate cleanser with Tyria. Yeah, more Tyria. Give me just a moment. All right, we continue with Legacy of the Gods. As humanity sailed to Cantha, Or, and eventually to Kryta, Ascalon, and beyond, they conquered the lands they settled in, warring against the native races in order to claim Tyria as their own, with the urging of Balthazar, the god of fire and war. These early settlers and conquerors paved the way for the eras of various thriving human civilizations that arose in their wake, such as the primeval dynasty of Alona, although their actions also earned the ire of native Tyrian races like Char and Centaurs, who would become humanity's unrelenting enemies for centuries to come. Yeah, things are getting good. We got a good little bit to go with the history of Tyria. Ooh, section on religion in Tyria, yeah. That might be fun to read down the line. Okay, I'm just going to put a pin in it right here at 1BE. Rainbow 3 on TV and Hovind bashing on the tablet. Hell yeah. Alright, let me go on and back up a hair. And back this shit up.
Crew at
Ah,
Dinosaur.
damn it. Okay. The crew at Dinosaur Adventure. Fuck you, Hovind. Okay. Surprise, Hovind. Can we just appreciate? I'm gonna refresh it, and it's gonna only show for a moment. But this crappy AI Hawaiian shirt wearing dinosaur. Can we just appreciate this for a split second? Look at that.
Crew at Dinosaur.
And there it goes. It's gone, baby. All right. Buckle up, buckaroos. We got 54 minutes of this crap. We're doing the 3/7/2025 open mic as well. I'm just gonna whore myself out a bit here. If you're able to right now, the super chats will keep me going. I can eventually afford coffee. I can't afford coffee, but it's the idea. Let's do it.
Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. It is March the 7th, a famous day in history. We'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to have open mic tonight. If you want to call in, curse or swear, we're going to shut you off and leave you off for what, 60 months?
Oh, fucking fuck shit, Kent. I can't say a goddamn swear word amongst your stupid, shitty ass people because they're gonna get fucking offended. Oh, boo fucking who.
60 years? Okay. If you're dumb enough, you don't have a good vocabulary to speak regular English without cursing. We don't want you on our channel.
Need I remind you, Kent, that multiple studies have shown that usage of profanity is a sign of intelligence, especially eloquently structured profanity. It's funny the stupid people get mad at smart people being smart.
We believe evolution is the dumbest and most dangerous religion, and it's false. It's the most dangerous one in the history of humanity. Prove me wrong. Call in if you'd like. We're on all kinds of channels. We're on Rumble. They took us off of YouTube again.
No, Kent, once again, and I always love stressing this, if according to your theology a person sends themselves to hell even though your God is the one who sets the rules for such, then you got yourself kicked off YouTube, i.e. removed yourself from YouTube by violating their policies. So stop with this they, because it's just not how it works.
We're just going to abandon YouTube. All these other channels don't have much censorship. They're all listed on drdino.com. You can get our app, Kent Hovind TV.
Yeah, try to push them boundaries and see what happens. Put anything and everything up there, Kent, and see how far you get.
And get that, push one of these buttons and something will happen. You can get that, okay? Let's see, like us, share us, make a comment, subscribe to our channel, tell others about us. This message may help somebody you know.
I got a comment. You suck.
Share it with somebody. Okay. We're open for free because of our 777 club. People say, I like what you're doing. I'm going to give you $1 a day, 31 bucks a month to be my missionary.
See, I don't even ask that much. Y'all could just toss a couple of bucks my way. It adds up. Become a channel member and I'll make more members only videos. Feel like doing a monthly donation, Patreon is linked down there somewhere. That definitely helps out. I mean, everything helps. Just things have been rough. They stay rough. They're not getting any worse, but they're not getting any better. For just pennies a day, you too can help Caruso Tomato feast upon whatever the hell he can manage to find. I kid, but seriously, much love to y'all, and thanks to everyone who has been able to help out previously. You're awesome. Okay, enough shilling. Although, I am probably going to finally start working on merch. It's been overdue, and I think I found a platform I might go with. So, we'll see.
Blind in the dump. Let's see, Ben, you're here tonight from Australia. Oh, did I say it right? Australia? Pastor of church over there? Good to have you.
Australia? Can't even be. I don't think I've ever heard this man actually do any kind of accent imitation worth a damn. Christ.
Here, you start one of these. I don't know of any creation ministries in Australia. Tomorrow, when you take the tour, get a bunch of ideas.
Jessica was married to Grantham. Grantham being the guy who did the whole Kent Hovind isn't a narcissist thing. That video, which is mirrored on my channel. So Grantham Simpson and Jessica Simpson left to go to Mobile to reclaim possession of their child, who they had lost possession of for some reason. We strongly believe they will not make it back to DAL. The DAL was just a holdover till they got said child back. But I also should put in perspective that they had somehow lost custody of their child. Given the way America is, you got to do a lot to actually lose custody of your child. So, yeah. Not very happy with them. Oh God, no. No fridge reveal. No fridge reveal. I need to get my own mini fridge so I can store stuff separate from everything else because the fridge is crammed full of crap. And yeah, his His Asian accent is pretty damn cringe. Meanwhile, I've been complimented on my Korean. I know very little, but apparently my accent's getting pretty damn good. So, there's that.
Take a bunch of pictures and say, I'm going to build one of these in Australia. Great way to reach people.
Yes, take pictures of my ark and build an identical copy so that I can say I'm the one who designed it, rather than, building their own fucking ark. Harvard.
If you have any questions or want to make donations, contact Bobby, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 1, or go to drdino.com. It's all up
Sorry, I had a hot mic there.
there. Almost 9 years now. April 16th will be 9 years. Get our creation seminar series, $50 for 18-hour seminar series. That's what you saw, Ben. You said in Australia, the 18-hour seminar series, and you watched it twice and liked it. You heard all.
Wow. He watched it twice and he liked it? I would have never thought so from somebody who's visiting DAL.
The jokes and everything? Okay, good.
Oh, you mean the same jokes you've been telling for 500 years?
Huh? Heard them twice. Okay, well, you can use them again. Get our book and video series on what on earth is about to happen, folks. It's coming like a freight. This is awesome. We're at the end of time, according to the book of Daniel and Revelation.
Yeah, and everyone's thought that ever since your stupid book of bullshit was compiled. Big fucking whoop. And if there is an Antichrist, Kent, ironically, it's the dumbass you wanted elected into office again. Congratulations, you played yourself.
And Matthew, Mark, Luke. Anyway, yeah, there we are, March the 7th. If you love the Lord and soul winning and love creation ministry, we need a chef to do, because we got so much, we're swamped here, landscaping and chef feeding the people that come here. So call 855-BIG-DINO, extension 3. Now, we also need a good shade tree mechanic and another secretary. We have 9 single guys here always complaining. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, this isn't fucking creepy at all. Nope, Kent. This isn't at all creepy, disturbing, unnerving, dare I say perverse. You're sickening. There's a bunch of single guys here, come on down. They're all meth addicts and unemployed and criminals, but, come down here and get yourself a guy who loves Jesus. It doesn't matter if he's got a criminal record, as thick as a fucking phone book. Or loves Jesus.
Neil? That's right, okay. So some of you pastors, please send some godly single women here so I can fix these guys up and shut them up, okay? Call me 855-BIG-DINO, extension 1 for Bobby or for me for 3, okay? Today, March the 7th, Alexander Graham Bell got a patent for the...
Patton. Was it a George S. Patton? And him thinking the end of the world's every other year, because that's your typical fundamentalist talking point, is that Revelation says it's just around the corner because it's written specifically to always be interpretable as always just around the corner, to help create a fear tactic to perpetuate the scam that is religion. I'm not going to get into the Bell Elijah Gray controversy. Suffice it to say, they both invented working concepts at the same time, and Bell had things go the right way. Take of that what you will. Just know, if you're in an older American city, like a proper city, and you're in slightly older parts of the city, modernized, stuff that's mid 20th century, look at manhole covers you walk over, and there's a good chance you will see a string of them that will have the Bell System logo on them, or will actually say Bell System in conjunction with the Bell emblem. Those are like sacred relics to me and other phone freaks, because they're still there, but the Bell System hadn't existed for 41 years now. But the fact that those were like usually main carrier trunk lines, coax cable, in carrier, all kinds of good stuff, sexy tech. No computers involved, just pure analog electronics, electromechanical switching and carrier stuff. It's nice. It's nice to think about that little bit of history. When I was downtown a couple of weeks ago, I went by the main exchange down there. And of course, there were multiple conduit routes headed because that was once a major office. Yeah, I could talk about phone stuff a lot. Maybe I will sometime. But he's just happening to bring up Bell, and this happens to, or yesterday happened to have been the patent day, so you know.
The telephone. Can you believe it? This is the day. Oh, the telephone. Telephones come a long way. When I was a kid, that was the
Wow, I have that exact phone. Exactly that. That particular, I forget the name of the green, but that is a Western Electric Model 500. No. I don't have that exact one. Mine is a post 72 or 74 model with the modular jacks. That's the hardwired. So that's an earlier one from anywhere from 1950 to 19, honestly, into even the 80s. They still had, we're refurbishing those. But yeah, I actually have the same green, basically green Western Electric Model 500 sitting right beside my bed. Yep, I'm a fucking nerd.
Do any of you still remember the phone number you had when you were a child?
Yes, it's my phone number on Freaknet, the phone network I help administer. I specifically chose that block of numbers as my first office code because I wanted that to be my number on the network. And then I proceeded to get 10 more office codes because I'm crazy like that.
You do? Oh, yeah. Yep. 309 699 4550.
Aw, Kent. You didn't say it the right way. Hang on, let me. Because telephone numbers used to have letters in them. So that 69 would have been, let's see, Bell System Standard, Myrtle, Owen, Oxbow, Oxford, anything like that, which is what the letters on there were actually, used for, what the purpose was. Um, Wow, I'm spending way too much time on this, but you hear I know you can hear the passion in my voice given that we're talking about phones. Let's see, it was Peoria, Illinois, a 399 number, 4550 is interesting. Let's see, he was born in 53, 54 range, so he grew up in the 60s. Probably number 5 crossbar. Because step you could have done, but they probably wouldn't have done a 699. So that was probably number 5 crossbar. Number 1 wouldn't have been installed there. It would have been Chicago and stuff, yeah, but not Peoria. They wouldn't have had number 1 crossbar. And down here in the South, you just wouldn't have that at all. And I know y'all know nothing about what I'm talking about, but if you decide to look up old telephone stuff, that's some stuff. Let me tell you, number 5 crossbar is absolutely amazing for something that doesn't have a single transistor in it. Seriously, it is insane how complicated that switching system was just to get phone calls from A to B. But it did it really, really well. That's an entire other set of videos and streams, though. Let's keep going with Kent. God, I'd rather just talk phones.
East Peoria. If any of you have some of these old style phones, even the old, ring, 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 hello, we'd like to have a little display here, the evolution of the phone, and show that none of the improvements happen by chance.
Yes, Kent, because they're, intentionally man-made things. Also, yes, some improvements did happen by chance. You want to find out, schedule your little debate for me, and I'll explain to you how a few phone improvements happened by chance. You'll be amazed what a case of natural selection and mutation in engineered devices did. Also, you will not be getting any of my phones. I would rather destroy every one of them myself than give you one. Even the ones that don't work right. Also, if he does get that display, I would love to go inspect it and criticize its accuracy, because I guarantee you this dumbass is going to be mixing or having mixed GTE and Western Electric, all kinds of other fucking models, and just have it all screwed up. Because Kent, are you going to focus strictly on Western Electric? From the old candlestick models up to the 202 and sets to the 302 set? Are you gonna then the 500s, then the 1500? Are you gonna fork out the $200 for a 1500 set? Let me tell you what a Western Electric 1500 set is for those who don't know. You see that rotary set there? That's a Model 500. Model 2500 is the one with the normal touchpad on it that you think of. So if you think of the typical that phone, but with the 1 through 0 and the star and pound on it, that's your 2500 set. There was a small transitional period, a very small specialty one, though, for the beginning of touch tone dialing, where there were phones that only had the 1 through 0, no star or pound. Those are 1500 sets. It was 63 to 68 range. Those are very uncommon because for the most part, you just still used rotary. Touchtone wasn't available everywhere because the equipment had to be designed to accept it. Are you going to get one of those, Kent? I don't think you're going to fork out the couple of hundred for a Model 1500. Are you going to get one of every color? Are you going to have princess phones? Are you going to have trim lines? Are you going to cover GTE? Are you going to hit the ITT models? Is your display going to have any explanation on why the rotary dial exists? On how touchtone came about? On any of this? Or is it just going to be a bunch of phones piled together? Really touching an area I love, Kent. Really pushing into the same way your denial of evolution causes the instinctive rage it does in Aron. Just even hinting at having anything to do with phones and trying to make a history of them is getting at me, Kent. Stay the fuck away from those phones. Get those phones in the hands of collectors. Actually appreciate them. There, my monologue is done. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Let's continue.
They were all designed with intelligence behind it. If you have some of the old phones sitting around, what do you do with it? Send it to us. Hey, Sarah, give me the fire department. Anybody remember Barney and call me? Ring, ring, ring. Hello, Sarah. The Andy Griffith Show. Today, there are 12 billion mobile phone connections.
To be fair, Maria, they were not Bakelite. All the phones produced by Western Electric that used plastic, it is thermoplastic. It wasn't Bakelite. A few other companies did, but Western Electric never did phones in Bakelite. Just to clarify. Father wouldn't let him have his own extension, so he didn't have a princess phone. And father worked in a step office. Very nice. Very nice. There is a guy in Oregon who there is a step office you can actually call into. He's got touch tone to dial pulse converters. You can actually call into one number and listen to the equipment room. So you can, if you have two phones, dial into the equipment room and then dial in to the switch. You can hear the equipment process your call. It's so fucking awesome. SXS Phil is the name. Step by Step Phil. That's the name. That be the name of the person. Cool stuff. He's streaming again. He's talking about phones again. Again? When was I talking about phones last time? I done forgot. Also, this has been a long stream. Stream weeks one. Okay, one person would like an old phone stream. Another old phone stream. Old phone otaku. Yeah. 7-year-old mother with pre-dementia is falling back on the idea that all her family have extension. She wanted to know how to listen in. Man, wild. You can get two phones to fucking make a baby phone. Then maybe I'll take them seriously. Well, oh, what Well, when a Model 300 and a Model 500 Bell system, Western Electric produced phone, love each other very much, you get what's sitting here beside me, the 5302. It's a 300 series set in a shell that looks like that of a 500 set, which is pretty freaking awesome. And that's why it's my main phone. School in late 90s, early 2000s, only kid in my class who knew how to dial a rotary phone because, well, it wasn't our main phone. Parents still had one. I remember using a rotary phone very early on. I think when I was like easily 5 or 6, we switched over to touch tone. It may have been when we moved out to this area. But I can remember having learned how to use a rotary phone. So when I got into these things about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was all just instinctive, like, oh, yep, here we go. Let's do this thing. Rosina with a $4.99 super chat. The pound and star on phones are the mark of the devil. Good points. Very good point. Something my grandfather believed. Wow. Well, given that they were explicitly designed for usage in computerized banking and stuff, that would make sense if your grandfather was of the religious bent and followed the same the credit card is the mark of the devil, the computers are the mark of the devil, and all that stuff, signs of the devil. Dad works for a phone company and made multi-line business phones. He's a patent for LED buttons. It's pretty cool, the work design that goes in the parts. Yeah, they're amazing. Remember party lines. Had to wait for the neighbor to finish their conversation. Oh, yeah, there we go. Everybody talking about them party lines. No, not even thermalite, just thermal plastic, normal plastics. These are perfectly normal plastics. And yeah, I never had party. Lived in Memphis my whole life, so they were long gone. And Memphis is urban for the South. Well, it is urban, but it's urban for the South, so it sorry, fundaments in Discord. But I am definitely very familiar with them, how they worked in various ways that you actually could have multiple independent calls happening on a single party line. That was totally a thing that could be done through some tech. Yeah. I know this stuff. I love this stuff so fucking much. Date and time. Dial 901 901. Oh my god. Oh wait, I'm stupid. Yeah, 901-526-5261. That's our local date and time number. Jackson Jackson 6-5261 or Jam 1. It's marketed as. Seriously, go on and call it 901-526-5261. You can get the time and temperature here in Memphis, or at least the temperature. I think it gives the time as well. $4.99 super chat from Deconstructing Lore. I remember calling to find out the time and temperature downtown. And yes, my in my phone network, I not only have there's not only a network standard time and temperature number. There is I have a local time number in my system, and I have an outgoing call set up that'll link you to that 526-5261 number that I mentioned. Jen Joneser about the analog. Laugh about the analog days forever. Hell yeah.
Connections. That's more than there are people. Not everyone has a mobile device. Some people have more than one, and some people have them in cars and stuff like that. Let's see. Average phone bill spending, $1,300 a year.
Oh my God, he's still on phones. What the fuck?
On phone bills. Average person spending that. $114 a month. That's a lot of money. According to recent data, the average person spends 4 hours and 43 minutes on their phone. You add that up?
Yeah. Is that using the phone as an actual communications device, or is that diddling around on it and doom scrolling? See, something I hate, if I may go on another rant, which means we're never going to get this video done, is that I'm holding my iPhone. This is not a phone. This is a portable computer that connects to the phone network. Its primary purpose is as a little portable computer, and it just happens to make phone calls. That's it. So saying, using phone on the phone doesn't quite make sense in that context when people using it as a YouTube thing, they're still on their phone. So I just, got to be nitpicky about that. But this shows Kent's lack of we know he's going to have a lack of understanding on this. But again, you think someone so educated would care about the nuance of these things? Because I sure as hell do.
1,683 hours a year. That's 10 weeks nonstop, 24 hours a day, 168 hours in a week. Average person spends 10 weeks of their life.
Oh my God, Chopper Dave having that manual service. Number, please. Yeah, give me 34137. J. Right. And connect. Fuck if you needed to make a long distance call during World War II and you lived in an area. Well, actually, yeah, there wasn't direct distance dialing. So if you had to make a long distance call during World War II, holy fuck, it better be important. You're going to be waiting a while. It's going to be fucking expensive. And also, those circuits were needed for the war effort. Good times, good times.
Today is also the anniversary of the march in Selma, Alabama. The civil rights marchers were violently attacked by law enforcement in Selma, Alabama, during a peaceful protest for voting rights. This event, known as Bloody Sunday, became a turning point in the American civil rights movement. They're going to march from Selma to Montgomery. March 7th, they got as far as the bridge. Let's see, 50 marchers were hospitalized after a violent response by law enforcement officers.
It's funny thinking that actually, technically speaking, within arm's reach, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is a low number. 4 phones just ready. Oh, 5. I forgot the 300 set over there. It's got papers all over it. I don't use it often, but it predates World War II. Parts of it, anyway. So I mean, seriously, the receiver in it is older than the attack on Pearl Harbor. Think about that. I have a phone where components of it might well have been used in somebody discussing with someone important to them that Japan had attacked Pearl Harbor. Wild.
And posse men of the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And what a sad day that was. Why do you have to fight for rights that ought to be just common sense? Just because they're...
Oh, yeah, like women's rights to bodily autonomy. A person's right to medical care that affirms their gender identity. Right to medical treatment that shouldn't bankrupt people for the most trivial of procedures. What's more, how about rights to housing and rights to necessities? You want to rethink what you're saying, Kent?
Their skin color. This was evil what they did. Okay? And thank you for you guys standing up for what's right. Civil rights timeline. 1865, slavery ended, supposedly. The Jim Crow laws were passed to get segregation in schools here in the South. They had separate toilets for the boys, for the black and white. So we're going to talk tonight a little bit about evolution and the foundation for racism. And thank you, Crybaby, for calling in with your question. It prompted me to get some stuff together. Right. Well, let me share my side of it first. First place.
What's funny is, depending on if it had been connected in the network, 50 years ago, they could have called from Thailand to tell you happy birthday. Problem is, that call would have taken forever to get through and probably would have been bounced off a satellite. If it was 60 years ago, literally bounced off a satellite, but that's neither here nor there. But it is pretty fucking awesome how instantaneous our communication is these days. The way the internet and the way global interconnectivity has just become a ubiquitous thing. It's so awesome. All the information you could want at your fingertips, and yet idiots like Kent still refuse to actually look up anything.
There's only one race called the human race. Okay, I've never met a black man or a white man. I don't think they exist. We're all
And yet you literally told that story of I picked up a black guy on his way to wherever, stopped by KFC and got him, get him some chicken. And this is just Kent fucking grandstanding, using this date in history and what's the anniversary of as an excuse to be like, oh, I'm not racist. You're totally racist, Kent. Fuck off. You got pissed at, I forget the name of the gentleman, but him making the Jesus was black shirts. If you're not racist, why would that upset you? I wonder, Kent. I wonder why that would upset you. But you're totally not racist.
just different amounts of melanin causing different shades of tan. There's some pretty light colored folks and some pretty dark colored folks. There's the darkest and lightest ever seen. That's the darkest woman, as far as anybody knows. There's the lightest woman. She's not white, and the top one's not black. It's dark, dark brown, but not. So Charles Darwin, the title of his book, Origin of Species, might be classified, these apes might be different species, but they're still the same. They don't get it because they think there's a new.
Yeah, I'm certain the phone network in Germany has been as overhauled as many parts of the US network are. I'm not sure on the exact details of the modern switching technology over there, but it's definitely going to be, you know, at worst, older electronic switches, but at, most moderate to best, anything that's remotely been installed the past 20, 25 years, especially for the cell networks, is going to be complete packet switching, pure internet shit. No racism for 1859, exactly. Didn't exist. Harvard.
Species that now they can no longer interbreed. Therefore, that proves evolution. The title of Darwin's book, By Means of Natural Selection, Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection. Didn't give the whole title. The origin of.
God, Kent, you're so fucking obsessed with that when it's been explained to you. You yourself have corrected people on the usage of words, such as replenish previously having meant simply to fill something and not necessarily to refill something. But the fact that it was replenish made us think plenish again. Plenish has no meaning, apparently. But it stuck, and that's how we use the word now. You yourself will correct people on that, but you won't accept correction on what races meant in this concept, in this construct, in this title. You fucking hypocrite. God, can't you piss me off? Can we go back to talking about phones?
Species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle. Now, I might not have meant races by colors like we have today, but that's what people took it to mean.
Well, and that's irrelevant to what is actually in the book and the actual concepts. What people interpret from something are irrelevant to the actual facts of the matter. Because, again, Kent, people have interpreted a lot of pretty horrible stuff from your magic book of bullshit. You deny that.
Favored races. There's the title page of his book. I got it right there. Okay. Darwin thought natives were just advanced animals. Now, we battle to put out fires of racism, but we don't see their fundamental cause. The racism.
Yeah, people being assholes.
The philosophy behind all racism is somebody is superior to somebody else because of their skin color, which is
Because of a multitude of factors. Skin tone is not the only thing, and indeed, I hate describing it as skin color. It's a very juvenile way to describe it. It's a matter of ethnic backgrounds. You have people from the same area who hate each other on what would be considered racial terms. But it's a matter of the tribe itself being different. But at that point, the tribe becomes the race. It's a very nebulous concept.
is dumb. You got the problem over there with the Aborigines and people thinking they're inferior species, that because of Darwin's book. We mourn precious lives being taken at abortion clinics, but fail to see the reasoning behind such murderous acts.
And here we go. Here we go. He's got to bring this up. He's just got to do his virtue grandstanding bullshit. Fuck you, Kent.
And it's murder, by the way.
Yeah. And what you did was a felony. You enable people to commit unspeakable crimes. Sorry, I had a yawn fit there. You you downplay the crimes of these people. Don't get me started, Kent. Just don't. I'd like this video to have a chance of being monetized.
Cry as American servicemen come home in flag-draped coffins, and we fail to understand the thought process of the madmen against whom they were sent. Darwin said, at some future period, not very distant as measured by centuries, the civilized races of man will almost certainly exterminate and replace the savage races throughout the world.
My dad's not a phone! Duh! Oh, I love that. Threw it on the ground. Classic.
That was in his book, Descent of Man. Yes, he was a racist, okay? There's a book out called Darwinian Racism by Richard Weikart that covers this in great detail, how Darwin was a racist, and his book fueled the racism that was prevalent at the time already, slavery. Darwin, from the war of nature and famine and death, the most exalted object we're capable of conceiving, the production of higher animals directly follows. Who's a higher animal, Adolf? Darwin. Is it white
Yeah. Okay.
skin make you a higher animal? Back in 1859, when Darwin's book came out, they were still selling Negroes like cattle.
God damn it, Kent. Would you stop saying that word?
Negroes for sale. They're at auctions, auction them off. Split up the families if you have to. It's Henry Fairfield Osborn, the American Museum of Natural. He said the standard of intelligence.
You know, I'm really glad while I'm spitting all this bullshit, the audio just keeps cutting out and the stream is hanging on for dear life. It's just the best.
Intelligence of the average adult Negro is similar to that of the 11-year-old youth of the species Homo sapien. Are blacks a different species? That's what he thought. Stephen Gould said biological arguments for racism might have been common before 1850, but they increased by orders of magnitude following the acceptance of evolutionary theory. By the way, Steve, you don't accept evolution. You believe evolution. Don't use the word accept. Okay?
Don't tell somebody how to talk, you piece of shit.
Even Thomas Huxley, Darwin's bulldog. No rational man cognizant of the believes the average Negro is the equal, still less the superior of the white. Kingsley said, black people of Australia, exactly the same race as the African Negro, cannot take in the gospel. All attempts to bring them to a knowledge of the true God have as yet utterly failed. Is that true, Ben? Are there people over there, Aborigines, getting saved? Yes. There are. Poor brutes in human shape, they must perish off the face of the earth like brute beasts.
Save from what your magical all-loving Sky Daddy's gonna do to them if they don't believe. Yep. That's a nice eternity you got there. Be a shame if something happened to it. Fucking mafia boss. What a load of shit. Your god sucks.
He was the Anglican priest that promoted Darwin. In 1860, Kingsley wrote a letter to his wife after he visited Ireland in the potato famine, where 1 million people died out of 8 million. He said, I'm haunted by the human chimpanzees I saw along that 100 miles of horrible country. To see white chimpanzees is dreadful. If they were black, one would not feel so much. But their skins, especially where tanned by exposure, are as white as ours, except for time. There was the Mormons' official doctrine. Mormons teach Negroes in this life are denied the priesthood. Under no circumstances can they hold the delegation of authority from the gospel.
So he's just gonna keep on this shit. Ugh. It's making me sick too.
The message of salvation is not affirmatively Hovind translation. They can't be saved. That was his teaching. Negroes are not equal with other race where the receipt of certain spiritual blessings are concerned. He said, it's the Lord's doing. It's because of a lack of spiritual valiance of those concerned in their first estate. Had two Mormon missionaries knock on my door when I lived in California. They said, Mr. Oven, we'd like to talk to you about the Lord. I said, that'd be great. You want to talk about your Lord? Oh, we worship the same Lord. Oh, no, we don't. You guys got a different God. I said, does your God up in heaven have a human body, have a physical body like mine? Mine doesn't. My God's a spirit. They that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. I said,
Yes, Kent getting into nitty gritty arguments over which interpretation of magical bullshit is correct. Doesn't happen too often, but I don't know.
does your God have thousands of wives? Oh, yeah, probably millions.
Yeah, must be talking about Mormons and the endless celestial sex. We're gonna do the Mormon video sooner or later, given that I'm covering this stream, this open mic now. We might actually do that tomorrow. We'll see.
I said, does your God have normal sexual relations with those wives up in heaven and make a spirit baby? We believe that. Okay. And if the spirit baby is a good spirit baby, God sends it down to earth into a white-skinned body.
Congratulations, Kent. You understand previous Mormon doctrine that may or may not still be explicitly accepted today. I've heard conflicting reports from reliable sources on both ends. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Welcome to the diversity of religious beliefs. They believe they're right just as much as you do that you are. You should really think about that, Kent.
But if it's a bad spirit baby, it gets a black-skinned body. Is that what you got? They looked at each other and said, well, you're not supposed to know that, but yes, that's what we. I said, guys, there are 2 babies born every second on earth. 2 a second that are born. There's a whole lot more attempts made to get one than there are the number that succeed.
Ugh, what a fucking perv. And Kent, you're also forgetting the ridiculous amount of spontaneous abortions that occur. God is the ultimate abortionist. Remember that.
Okay. Your God up in heaven is providing a baby, a spirit baby for each of these babies on earth in the same way that they do it on earth. When does your God get time to answer your prayers or even breathe? And they turned around and walked off. I don't know what happened to them. Didn't see them. Okay. However, in a broad sense, caste system.
Yeah, because they didn't want to deal with your stupid ass, Kent. Necessarily defending, Mormon from them. Far from it. But even they were smart enough to be like, fuck this guy.
Origin in the gospel. This is from the Mormon doctrine. Cain, Ham, and the whole Negro race have been cursed with black skin, the mark of Cain. This is stupid. I did a series, a year ago, Joseph, why I'm not, and went through different religions, why I'm not a Mormon, why I'm not a Catholic. I explained why I don't want to be one of those. Is that, how do they, kenhoven.tv, and then type in,
Yeah, it's its own playlist over there. You'll see it.
okay.
Chad, I lost you for a second. It's wanting to be stupid. Give me just a moment. I'm going to pull up secondary chat just to make sure. Just a moment, I'm working on it. Got to go to my own stream and pop out the chat. Do. It's loading. Come on, pop out the chat. And pop out chat. There we go.
Okay. Me shooting a rubber band at why I'm, okay. I went through the different religions. Here's why I can't be one of those. I don't necessarily fight them. Like Ben, Pentecostal over there. I don't fight the Pentecostals. I disagree on a couple things, but I think they're still serving the Lord. During World War II, we had to be allies with some folks we didn't agree with all the time. We're allies with the Russians. Okay. Anyway.
Kent. No, say something that you and your boomer friends really need to understand is that the Soviet Union was not Russia. They were the biggest constituent nation, and the seat of Soviet power was in Moscow, and it was spawned by people who would identify as Russians. But the Soviet Union was its own nation in the same way Great Britain is its own nation. The United Kingdom is. You wouldn't say we were allied with the English. You could say that, but technically speaking, we're allied with the British. Just a little bit of stuff that, again, as someone who taught everything under the sun at high school level for 15 years, a bit of nuance I would think you would understand. But of course, you can't. And as someone who really likes Cold War history, that's something I feel to understand the Cold War worth a damn. You have to understand that the Soviet Union wasn't Russia.
There we go. If there's one drop of Negro blood in my children, as I read to you, they receive the curse. Mormon apostle. Shall I tell you the law of God? This is Brigham Young. Brigham? No, Brigham. Okay. I think it's Brigham Young.
Fuck you, Kent. From the guy who hangs out with Chris Jones.
Shall I tell you the law of God in regard to the African race? The white man, if the white man who belongs to the chosen seed mixes his blood with the seed of Cain, the penalty under the law of God is death on the spot. This will always. You better read about the Mormons. Some of you have been trapped in that Mormon religion. Better find out what they teach, okay? I'll be glad to help. Got a lot of books we sell on that topic. I'm not anti-Mormon. I'm just for them. They showed how to pack slaves in a ship and get the maximum number.
Their doctrine is completely wrong, but I'm not anti-Mormon. The fuck, Kent?
Number of slaves on a boat to maximize your profit before they finally passed a law. 20% of them died on each trip across. Chain them down to the floor, let them sit right there for a month as you cross the ocean. Example of loose packs designed for maximum profit. Some leaders taught that the Aborigines were not as evolved as the white man. They said the Aborigines have bigger jawbones as evidence for the evolution. Some leaders taught they were not as evolved. They would kill the Aborigines and collect their skulls and put them in museums. Ben, are there still museums over there that have those Aborigine skulls? Have you heard of those? Don't display, not on display. The mental life of savages rises little above that of higher mammals, where the genealogy is connected. Their intelligence moves in the narrowest bounds, and one can no more or less speak.
You know, this is one of those cases where it's obvious the more someone speaks out against a subject, the more they actually accept it. You know, that phenomena, protest too much kind of thing. Come on, Kent. Do you have something better to do? Can't you just read something from the Bible? That's what I would do as a pastor. Hi there, this is Pastor Chris. I'm awaiting your calls, but for now, we'll read from Corinthians 1:32. I don't know if that's an actual thing, but just rolling with it for the story. Oh, it looks like we have a caller. Hello, you're on God Chat with Chris. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Next caller. You could actually try to be decent, Kent.
Speak of their reason than that of the more intelligent animals. These lower races, like the Vedas or Australian, are psychologically nearer to the mammals, apes.
Maria, the answer is he decided to be convenient to blather on about today. Hovind likes human rights, except he doesn't. Humans have no rights. Only Hovind has rights. Oh, and look, there's Haeckel. Fuck you. I'm so sick and tired of Haeckel being brought up.
Than to civilized Europeans. We must therefore assign a totally different value to their life. Ernst, who did the gill slit idea. Australian Aborigines were arrested, chained, all kinds of bad things.
I swear, when I get to putting monetization on this video, I'm gonna have to flag everything. Be like, yeah, controversial issues, yeah, this, yeah, that, yeah. I'm not belittling any people, far from it, except Kent, but Kent's not people. He is not a protected class.
because of the evolution. At the beginning of the white settlement, there were estimated 300,000 Aborigines settled all over Australia. They were viewed by the settlers as primitive, savage, and unchanging. In addition to warfare, killings, water, flour, and sugar were poisoned, and diseases were introduced. Aboriginal destruction was reasoned to be natural.
You know, maybe if they turned on the dino lamp, the stream wouldn't suck so bad.
We have to replace them with the finer race, the man. This is what happened, folks, to the Australians.
You know, I'm just going to say it. Ignoring Kent's obvious racist tendencies, you know, his very boomer racist tendencies. In a sense, Kent is still a racist even in that regards, because people who are not of the exact Christian branch that he is are seen as scum to him unless they convert and accept. With that being a way to classify people, to group them apart into one division versus another, one race is another, the saved and the unsaved, that alone is Kent demonstrating a very unique, well, not so unique, but undocumented kind of racism, which has historically been the case in particular circumstances. You'd have divisions like that. It's quite the interesting thought when you realize that and look at how he talks to people and understand, oh, yeah, that's why that gives him all the justification he needs to be the way he is to people. Because he views us as scum in the same way that other types of racism view certain types of people for some arbitrary criteria as scum. But of course, Kent just sees it as a skin color thing. He can't even understand it's an ethnic thing, let alone that it can go beyond into cultural elements. Because groups of the same ethnicity who have different cultures, yeah, there you go. And what really defines ethnicity? Again, there's nuance to everything.
In Tasmania, every single Aboriginal was. Let's see. New South Wales missionary was the witness to the slaughter by mounted police of a group of dozens of Aboriginal men, women, and children. 45 heads were then boiled down and the best 10 skulls packed off for over. Smithsonian has lots of the Aboriginal skulls in there. Let's see. Francis Galton, in the study of eugenics, study of the agencies under social control that improve or
That explains why this stream is an hour long, because he's on this, grandstanding garbage.
Compare the racial qualities to future generations, either physically or mentally. There was a eugenics movement in America until World War II broke out. Galton was Darwin's. Conklin said, professor at Princeton University, every consideration should lead those who believe in the superiority of the white race to strive to preserve its purity and to establish and maintain the segregation. For the longer this is maintained, the greater the preponderance of the white race will be. 1912, New York Times became a champion of the eugenics cause, calling it a wonderful new science. Eugenics. Yeah, let's purify it, keep the white race strong. That was the thinking. There's a Carnegie Institute founded by Harriman. Unnatural selection. American scientists played a key role in the shameful history of eugenics. Discover magazine, 20 years ago, did an article.
He just keeps going. Also, it's 22 years ago, Kent. You gotta update.
In time, these ideas gave rise to American laws that empowered doctors to sterilize people that they judged to be unfit to pass on their genes. As a result, black estimates, 60,000 people were sterilized in the United States over the course of the 20th. Perhaps most chilling, though, were the ways.
Yeah, there were a lot of horrible crackpot ideas in the early 20th century and late 19th century. And us getting a better understanding of biology helped those ideas, become more realized. were able to fulfill the ideas they had of various atrocities of that nature, leading to everyone's favorite failed Austrian painter and his cohorts coming up with industrialized mass murder. Funny, I'll say that, but I won't say Hitler. Whatever. That's what the Holocaust was industrialized mass murder. Systems literally put in place for that. That was the maximum extent of these concepts. And yeah, they were horrible. And yeah, these ideas happened. But you trying to disingenuously tie them explicitly to the concept of evolution, to vilify actual science, is disgusting. Once again, completely ignoring the idea that maybe people can co-opt and usurp something to try to use it as a justification for the beliefs they already held. Again, as I said many times in this stream alone, much as a great many people have done with religion, especially Christianity.
Which American eugenists influenced their German counterparts.
Also, it's eugenicist, not eugenist, you illiterate fuck.
I studied with great interest the laws of several American states concerning the prevention of reproduction by people whose progeny would, in all probability, be of no value and be injurious to the racial stock. Adolf Hitler told a Nazi conference. No better over here in America, though.
It should go without...
1904.
Shut up, Kent. It should go without saying, but I must stress that, of course, I in no way, shape, or form at all condone anything regarding the ideas of eugenics, actions taken by a certain political party in Germany in the 30s and 40s, so on and so forth. And that I'm simply reacting to a video where Kenthoven talks about these subjects, while also decrying his dislike of such. Sure, but he's really focusing on this crap in a way that is definitely unnerving. I honestly don't really want to go through the rest of this, but we have to because that's how we do things here. If I were watching my own video, I would have clicked off by now because I would have had to hear Coven talk about this shit so much. But this is the pain we have to go through to document the kinds of things Kent says, the duplicitous nature of him, to convey without any kind of manipulation, save for pausing, exactly what he says, exactly what he does, the kinds of posturing, the kinds of facades he puts up. And yet, when you look at it, you're able to dissect it and realize, as I say, every accusation is an admission.
World's Fair had 2,000 primitive people on display. The purpose was to demonstrate the superiority of the white Americans who have evolved further. 1904 St. Louis.
Maria, my email is in my channel about section. You'll click a few things and it'll get you there. It's chris@xadara.com. You'll definitely be able to find it in the about section, though. Send me an email.
World's Fair. They got a pygmy from Australia, Ota Benga, and put him on. Madison Grant, the prominent American lawyer, became a staunch supporter of the eugenics movement. He was a founding member of the Galton Society, the director of the American Eugenics Society, and a member of International Committee of Eugenics. 1916, he wrote a famous book, The Passing of the Great Race. Grant classified humans by distinct racial groups, which he then ranked in terms of evolutionary development. Teddy Roosevelt. It's not a coincidence. Teddy Roosevelt was president during these influential years. Roosevelt and Grant were close friends, big game hunting partners. Roosevelt hated Native Americans and openly stated his belief that they were not human, only animal. I don't go so far as to think that.
Yep, we had a lot of presidents with scumbag ideas. Some more scumbaggy than others. Some presidents, Jackson, were complete assholes, while others were only partial assholes. Seems like right now we got the 21st century great asshole in charge. So, you know.
That only good Indians are dead Indians, but I believe 9 out of 10 are, and I wouldn't want to inquire too close.
Funny, that's my opinion on Nazis. The only good Nazi is a dead Nazi. Super chat from Rosina, $4.99. Eugenics, applying animal husbandry to humans, has been around for millennia, and long predates Darwinism. This is true. Oh, Cassius is saying to leave Teddy out of this. And I don't know how valid the quote itself is. I wouldn't be surprised either way. Um, you know, if he did say that, that's some shitty opinions to have, but it's also about par for the course for his era. So kind of sucks. What you gonna do? It's like they say, never meet your heroes.
Closely into the Roosevelt said, "Oh,
Although I still would love to meet Jim Lovell. So, yeah, I'm saying something. I'd love to meet Gus Grissom, but he died 18 years before I was born, 17 years before I was born. So, not much I could do about that.
he thought the immigrants from Europe, Scotland, Ireland, and the Orient were a threat to American society. 1871, Congress scrapped all laws, all treaties with the Indians, and moved them to the reservation system. Many of them taken right out of here, out of Alabama. Most of the counties and rivers around here are named in.
Oh, you know it, Otaku. In fact, he's getting dumber by the second. You can actually watch brain cells die. That's what all the redness is. It's the energy released as those brain cells that have been holding on for half a century to some relevancy finally give up the ghost.
Indian names. We kept the name, kicked them out of the property. It was awful what happened. It's all racism and largely fueled by Darwin and his dumb teachers.
Except in your thing yesterday, you acknowledged that racism existed long before that. Ergo, your entire argument doesn't work. You think someone so smart would be able to understand that.
I remember even as a kid, separate bathroom, separate drinking fountain, some for white, some for colored. At the KKK, the Ku Klux. Unreal. Bible says we all have one. Why do we deal treacherously every man against his brother? God made of all nations of one blood, all nations of men. Charles Darwin said, a married man is a poor slave, worse than an eagle.
Oh, thank you, Audio Cut, for us not having to hear him say that yet again. It's so nice. Little moments of serendipity like that.
We'll skip over the married part, but this was his thinking.
Oh, and yeah, there was this casual sexism coming up.
Darwin said in his book, The Descent of Man, the chief distinction of intellectual powers of the two sexes is shown by man's attaining to a higher eminence in whatever he takes up than can woman, whether requiring deep thought, reason, or imagination, or merely the use of the senses and hands. The average mental power in man must be above that of women. Darwin, thus man has ultimately become superior to women in poetry, strength, voice. Darwin believed in inbreeding. He married his maternal father's granddaughter, who was also his mother's niece, to produce superior stock. They had 10 children. Mary died shortly after birth. Anne died at age 10. Robert was born retarded and died at 19 months.
God fucking damn it. I read it, was like, oh hell, in my mind, and then he said it. God damn it, Kent. And you know, these are his ancient slides where they haven't even updated 16.9. These are the truly ancient ones. Good fucking God, Hovind. Do you have any tact at all? You have zero negative charisma. You have no tact, no sense of decency. But you call us horrible. Fuck you.
Henrietta had a serious breakdown at 15. 3 of his 6 other sons were so ill so often, Charles regarded them as semi-invalids. So much for inbreeding and making a superior race. Okay, well, this is why I teach evolution is one of the main foundations philosophy behind the racism that we have in the.
Except it's not, because you've acknowledged that racism existed before Darwin published. Ergo, it is not a foundation, because a foundation implies that it's explicitly built upon that. How could that be if it existed beforehand? Come on, Kent. Any 5-year-old can put 2 and 2 together and figure this out.
Okay. All right. Questions, comments?
You have a comment. You are fucking scum.
Hi, Kent. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Let me get my headphones on. I can hear you even. Let me guess. You're calling in to announce you got converted.
Oh,
Oh,
no, I'm not.
tomorrow. Okay.
I'm calling, maybe on your next open mic, but I'm calling about some of the points you've made in the past about the age of the Earth. And the first one is the claim that because of tidal friction, the moon's receding and the Earth's rotation slowing down at rates too fast for the Earth to be billions of years old.
Correct.
Well, if the moon is receding at about 3.8 centimeters per year, but since
Correct.
the moon is about 3.85 times 10 to the 10th centimeters from the Earth, it's already consistent with an Earth moon system that's billions of years old. And
Well,
also,
you're
one
missing
more.
Yeah. The times, the ages, the math, it all works fine. Can't act like there's a problem when there's not.
One more
Well,
point. Yeah, go ahead.
Before you go on,
Sure.
One topic at a time, Howard.
if it's about the moon receding,
Yeah.
you're missing the major point. The inverse
You're missing the point that you're wrong, Kent. Inverse square law. Fucking hell. You fucking idiot.
square law. Let's see, I've got it right here. The closer objects get, the stronger gravity becomes. So the recession rate today, 3.8 centimeters or 1.5 inches a year, would not have been the same in the past. They've done plenty of studies on this topic. Oh, I got to do something over. Got to hit this. Why does it do that, Joseph? It won't let me proceed. There we go. Okay, I'll come over here. There.
Can I say something real quick, Ken?
If it's on the moon, let me finish with the moon
Yeah,
first.
sure.
And then,
Yeah, I'd
okay.
like to talk about the moon for
Sure.
a second. Yeah, go
Well,
ahead, though.
These are the
Let's note again that Kent cannot discuss anything without pulling up his dad blasted slides. Gotta have his slides because he doesn't actually know anything.
peer-reviewed journals like NASA said the moon is
Peer-reviewed journals like NASA. What the fuck, Kent? NASA's not a goddamn peer-reviewed journal. It's as much not a peer-reviewed journal as you are a doctor. Not at all, you dumb fuck.
average distance is about 238,000 miles. Moon is receding. This is from. I tried to document everything on there, but anyway, you agreed. The moon is receding about 1.5 inches or 3.8 centimeters a year. Okay. Is the moon leaving us? TheAtlantic.com. Yes, the moon is.
Now, who do you trust more to do the math on the recession rates of the moon and what it entails over time? A multitude of very talented scientists, many of which would have been the very people who did the math and did the work to get us to the moon, or a guy who lies about his taxes?
Drifting away. The moon is drifting away. Thomas Barnes. Let's see. Here's NASA.gov. We're drifting apart about 1.5 inches a year. Here's from Forbes magazine. Moon drifting away from the Earth. Astronomy magazines moving away 1.5.
Oh, concepts like the Roche limit are far too complex for Kent Hovind's brain. Just way. There's no way he could rationalize that. What? You mean if the Earth and the Moon get too close to each other, they tear apart? Huh? Just like the Chandrasekhar limit is far beyond his comprehension, and with the very nature of the event horizon.
1.5 inches a year. Bye bye moon. Are we losing the moon? Spaceanswers.com. Yep. The moon is spiraling away. Physics.org.
Kent, you're not saying anything.
Why is the moon leaving us? The moon is moving away at the rate of 4 centimeters a year because of tidal friction. And let's see. So you can't use the distance between the Earth and the moon today and today's rate to come up with the numbers you're coming up with.
Well, that's
Except you totally can.
that's one of my points is that creationists want to use uniformitarianism in this case, where they've been complaining about uniformitarianism in other aspects of geology, for example. But we have evidence that the Earth rotation was, let me see.
You know what I care more about than Kent? Anti-disestablishmentarianism. That's right, the idea of being against disestablishmentarianism, which involves the disestablishment of some Anglican Church or something like that. I don't know, but that's one of those words a lot of us know, have heard of, it exists and never think about. But I care more about that than I do Hovind talking about the fucking moon. And I like the moon a lot, but damn. At least we got Creationist Crybaby. He's cool.
The magnitude of the tidal friction, for one thing, it depends on the arrangement of continents, which we know were different in the past. Now, I know you don't accept Pangea and that kind of thing. But
you guys always say this. We know this in the past. We know that in the past. You don't know any of those things. You have to imagine. But go ahead.
Well,
you don't know.
I mean, we'll talk about
together.
It was another woman who wrote the code that had to be hand stitched in core memory, wire rope memory, for the Apollo guidance computer, which handled both. There were two identical units, one on the CM, one on the LM, and IBM did the Saturn V launch computer. The black band on the third stage of the Saturn V, that's the flight the flight computer for the Saturn V. Pretty cool. Oh man, so many cases where women have been involved in stuff. And it was a black man who invented the concept of the video game cartridge. Worked at Fairchild, and when they did the Channel F, his idea was the reprogrammable. Was that game logic would be stored in a cartridge, in ROM chips on the cartridge, and they could be interchanged. You would say, well, the Magnavox Odyssey had cartridges, and it's like those just were jumpers for circuitry already inside of the Odyssey. So there are only so many games you could theoretically make because there are only so many functions you could do with the Odyssey. Some of them would work better than others, and those are the games we actually got on the thing, if you want to call those video games.
We'll talk about that some other time, but we do have the rate of the Earth's rotation in the distant past can be measured. Corals produce daily layers and yearly.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that what Kent always does? Just say whatever.
Patterns, which show from about 180 to 400 million years ago, lengths of 381 to 410 days in a year. So we show different rates, and it's not a uniformitarian rate that we would expect for the moon to be receding, if that makes sense.
Well, here is from Astronomical Journal, back 30 years ago. The evolution of the lunar semi-major axis presents a well-known timescale problem. The lunar orbit collapses a little over 1 billion years. Were they wrong? This is a peer-reviewed journal that the moon.
Except that's probably not a peer-reviewed journal. I'd bet that it's not. Ken doesn't know what a fucking peer-reviewed journal is.
If you bring the moon back in closer, the inverse square law would say the gravity would be much. If you bring the moon into 1/3 the distance, it's 9 times the gravitational pull. So this affects a lot of.
Not quite how you think, though, Kent. Just don't get me started. The math gets complicated. It's complicated for me to understand. I know Kent won't understand it because we've been able to demonstrate that I actually can understand more complicated math than he can, which is pretty incredible given that I have an actual deficiency when it comes to applied math.
A lot of things. The moon would have to.
Yet simultaneously, I'm also coming up with my own conceptually massive numbers. So I don't know. Brain's wired weird.
Be going much faster just to stay in orbit, much faster. So to say that we know the length of the day from the coral and stuff like that, I think is a real stretch. We'll do a whole program on that sometime.
Okay.
This is from.
Except it's not. It's not a stretch at all. It's a very good indication on the length of days having been shorter earlier on in the Earth. Evidence only is evidence for something when it conflates with what you guys want. When it works for that. If it goes against anything in the Bible, we're just going to throw it out. Howard.
Here's from space.com, I think a peer-reviewed journal. If we take the moon's current rate of recession and project it back in time, we end up with a collision between the Earth and moon 1.5 billion years. However, the moon was formed around 4.5 billion years ago. So the current recession rate is a poor guide for the past. I would agree.
And that's why I mentioned how that's assuming a uniformitarian rate.
Yeah, well, Thea ain't in the Bible, so Kent just rejects that outright. We already know that.
recession. Can I bring up another point,
Oh,
though?
sure, go ahead.
Is and this has to do with the erosion.
Like, what is Kent writing down? What is there to write down? That's kind of unnerving in its own right. What is there to take note of if he's got this all covered? What's the point there, Kent?
And the Grand Canyon, but I know that you relate the Toutle River flowing out of Spirit Lake on Mount St. Helens, which has carved a canyon like a miniature Grand Canyon. And according to creationists, that shows that the Grand Canyon can form suddenly. And I think you've used that argument in the past, but we know that that canyon was formed in very unconsolidated volcanic ash, which is very easily eroded, and
correct.
that the steepness of that river coming off of Mount St. Helens is a lot. The gradient's a lot steeper than
Right,
what we
right.
see the Colorado River. So I don't know that that's, and also it's a lot smaller than the Grand Canyon, what we see there.
Right,
So
right.
I don't think that can really be used to as an analogy for the Grand Canyon, the Toutle River in Mount St. Helens.
Well, let's assume for a minute that the Bible is true. I know you don't want to believe that, but let's say the Bible's true, okay? During the flood, thousands of feet of layers of material would form. All the layers we see in the earth in the so-called geologic column probably formed during that flood. They're not different ages. All of them were still soft. If you plugged up Grand Canyon today, I've got pictures of this somewhere, a giant lake would fill up behind it called Grand Lake. You can go back here, you go Grand Canyon. Okay? I've been to Grand Canyon many times, been down to the bottom of it, flew down in a helicopter down there. They said we went back 300 million years. And I looked at my watch, it was the same day.
Ah, touche, the love letter. The thing is, he's probably writing it to the crazy, creepy baby doll head he's got stashed somewhere off screen, rather than the actual creationist crybaby / big bad mama.
Here we go. Grand Canyon. There we go, Grand Canyon. There we go. Here are some things to consider about Grand Canyon.
Oh, y'all, hang on,
I looked at my watch.
let's go back. We gotta appreciate that.
Here we go. Grand Canyon. There we go, Grand Canyon.
Ah, you appreciate them pixels. Looks like a damn Atari 2600 game right there. Hell, that blob in the bottom right, that kind of looks like a twisted version of the scorpion from Pitfall. Yeah.
There we go. Here's some.
Dude, fuck, now I want to play Pitfall. I really wish I had my Commodore 128 because I love playing Pitfall 2 on that thing. Oh well.
Some things to consider about Grand Canyon.
Keep that figure up there for a second, or go back to it when you get a chance. You had I'd like that geologic column that you had.
Here, the trail of time. You follow the trail down. It's got different times. This is all pure baloney. They should take those brass stickers off. They're stupid.
See, now, how do you get those layers that were tilted beneath the great unconformity?
Ooh. Is he going to say tidal pumping? Are we going to get Kent saying tidal pumping again, since he doesn't talk about the whales anymore?
Conformity there. How would you get those tilt in your model of the? How could you get soft layers that would tilt, and then you'd have other soft layers form on?
Well, you guys have never answered the question, how can the top layer be younger? All the dirt in the universe.
It's been answered ad nauseum, Kent. Shut the fuck up.
The universe is the same age, whether 6,000 or 6 trillion. It's all the same age.
Yeah, but we're dating the layer, not the grains of material in the layer. So we're dating.
Also, one topic at a time, Kent.
The formation of the layer itself.
So if the dirt,
as sea level, well, let me finish here. As sea level rises or falls, you'll get a different layer above the layer below it. So a limestone layer will be a deeper sea layer than a shale or a sandstone, and you might have a dune deposit. But each of these is piled on each other.
God, I really wish I was playing Guild Wars right now.
Depending on.
Thank you all for sticking around so long. Those of you who've been able to. Or managed to stand this for long enough.
In the Grand Canyon, it's due to sea level rising and falling.
Well, the sea level would rise and fall just with tidal pumping also. If the moon...
There it is. There it is. He said it. He said it. Oh. Wish I had more energy to be triumphantly laughing. And, wasn't concerned about being too damn loud. Stupid apartment. Yeah, thumbs up in chat or tomato, tomato icon in chat for the fact that I guess the title pumping. Yeah.
When we're holding the tide up on the Earth like it does today, holds a bump called the high tide while we spin under it. Just that tide going up and down where the Grand Canyon is now would make all these layers in 1 year. The crust of the Earth is obviously still broken up today, fault lines all over. During the flood, the crust of the Earth would be freshly broken. So a lot of the pieces are easier to move now that a lot of them are locked into place along the fault lines, okay? But all the layers were soft, and all of them were carved quickly. I'll show you.
If they were soft, why would they not be at a 45?
Boy, Kent knows a lot about things being hard and soft. From personal experience? I don't know.
Or you would have a lot of sloughing off, and you wouldn't have vertical walls if they were soft.
Hey, no. With the SID chip on the C64, fucking Pitfall 2 sounds great. Don't get me wrong, I love it on the VCS, but it's really nice on the C64.
It would be like Poodle River, where it's, you have a 45-degree angle going down to the river because it's soft sediment. If it was soft sediment, you wouldn't have these big cliffs like you have. It had to have been.
No, we cover all that video. Let me stick on my topic here. Grand Canyon is a washed out dam, like this one here. Lake got too...
Yeah, that's his entire thing, is just, Bible's true. Here's reasons why. Well, no, here's not reasons why. Here's what we see, and I'm going to say that, this is true for the biblical account because, and it's just, okay, that you never actually demonstrate explicitly, undoubtedly, that the Bible is true. It's a universal problem. They never do.
Too full, went over the top, washed a crack out of it, okay? They say you look back through millions of years. No, you don't. You look down in a hole in the dirt. I'll get a schematic from the side view here. Water from Wyoming goes through the Grand...
Schematic from the side view here. Clearly your standard map projection. The fuck, Kent?
Canyon. Okay, it has a huge drainage pattern. There's Grand Canyon right there. It is cutting, it's a cut right across what's called the Kaibab Plateau.
Yes, and all that large rushing water just, cut a nice, gentle, meandering, curving, well, somewhat gentle, but not really when you look at the grand scale, but that's neither here nor there. That zigzaggy mess. Yep, real quick flood did that. We don't just carve out simple troughs like every case I've ever seen of any kind of waterway quickly eroding. Come on, Kent.
The Kaibab Plateau is a ridge, like a wrinkle in your carpet, that goes all the way across the state of Arizona. The Kaibab Plateau, you can see by the snow line here, it's real obvious. The top of that plateau is 7,000 or 8,000 foot elevation. The river enters at 2,800. There is the high spot between these two lines. The river flows downhill 277 miles. Here's a side schematic view. The top is, let's call it 7,000 to 8,000. Rivers don't flow. The river flows downhill.
Yeah, which tells us that the land used to be lower. The earth changes, Kent. It's an indication of how old it is. You dense motherfucker.
We had the uplift of the Colorado Plateau occurring at the same time that the Colorado River was eroding down through the layers.
That's what you guys are imagining. There's a much simpler...
when he gets stuck on something, it's like, that's just what we imagine. There's a much simpler... No, the simpler explanation is the Kaibab Plateau being uplifted. Because that's what actually fucking happened. Piece of shit.
Explanation. For 50 or 100 years after Noah's flood, this big lake existed behind it called Grand Lake. When the lake got too full, it went over the top. And pictures over here somewhere. The rivers don't flow uphill. There's no delta. This is the lake that would form, Grand Lake and Hopi Lake. If you plugged up Grand Canyon today, those lakes would form again. Just follow the elevation line.
The idea is that, yes, those lakes definitely existed, and that they might have formed the initial channel of the Grand Canyon when, as you said, a dam broke or what have you. But it was the gradual uplift of the Colorado Plateau and the erosion of the Colorado River happening at the same time that created the Grand Canyon. And
I disagree. You're stating that. I disagree completely. You guys have stated that for years. You're making a statement that you cannot possibly prove.
Yeah, Kent. You're making a statement you can't possibly prove every time you open your fucking mouth.
The ground lifted up at the same level, at the same rate the river cut it down. There's a much simpler explanation. A lake overflowed.
Why would the walls be vertical then if it was soft sediment? And it was cutting down through soft sediment. Why would you have cliffs, which the Grand Canyon, you showed a picture of it, you have cliffs rising on either side of the river. Why would you have that steep of cliffs if the sediment was soft? It had to have been hardened, and it was hardened for a long time.
Come visit our gravel pit. We have steep cliffs here that are still soft clay. One just collapsed the other night in the rainstorm down by Will's house.
Oh.
The cliffs are still, and there's roughly 90.
Kent, you can't deal with that erosion there, buddy? That's an interesting thought that, especially with the amount of clearing they've done of stuff, DAL is going to wash out when the next really big rainstorm comes. That'd be hilarious.
And the Dinosaur Adventureland, by the way.
Okay. Well, if the river, if the lake got too full, Grand Lake would overflow and start eroding the other side, eat its way backwards. Maybe this happened 200 years after Noah's time, and the ground had time to solidify. That's why you have the steep cliffs. I don't know when it happened.
So the ground had time to solidify, and then the dam cut through the water. The dam broke and the water cut. The dam broke and cut through the water. The water broke through the dam and cut the Grand Canyon. You're literally saying it cut through. Are you even still actually alive, Kent? Or is this some weird Weekend at Bernie's bullshit and someone's just pulling the strings and you're an AI replication?
I mean, there's a lot of presuppositions there that Noah's flood actually happened.
About you get the
you put my hand up and be like, yeah, you get the presupposition. Shut up, Kent.
The presuppositions you have. The plateau is rising at the same rate the river is cutting. That's a complete supposition. You don't know any such thing like that. That's the standards.
We have evidence of that, but
we have evidence. That's just to make you guys make these.
Oh, Kent getting angry because people sit in hard facts. So I love when Creationist Crybaby calls in. He's just able to just / Big Bad Mama. Just able to just go in and be like, "Oh, Kent, here's A, B, and C." Oh, well, no, because of B and C, and here's factoid D. No, you've got the assumptions, Kent. It's calm, standard, real mellow, real calculating individual.
These statements. We have lots of evidence, and you move right on. You have no such evidence. You have a belief.
Well, we'll discuss the Grand Canyon in more detail sometime. I think that would be a good discussion for us to have.
Okay, here's a dam.
It's a big topic, though, as you know.
Right. So I know why, because you guys need billions of years.
Well,
and anything it's like pulling a pacifier out of a baby's mouth. You take away the billions of years.
They have the radiometric dates. We didn't invent those.
Oh, here we go.
Do all that.
Kent.
But we didn't invent.
Kent. The moment your fucking Bible gets discredited, which happens the instant you apply it to reality, you start whining beyond all measure. Only people in need of a pacifier are creationists like you, who need your magic book of bullshit to be absolutely literal and absolutely perfect. Nothing can be allegory, and there can't be any flaws in it. Nope, all has to be literal.
Invent that.
The radiometric date,
and we have the fossil record, which doesn't fit your flood geology fossil record.
Hold on, but when he's going to say one topic at a time.
There is no such thing as a fossil record. There are fossils. We have thousands of them here. I like fossils. They probably all formed
Yeah, you are one.
in Noah's flood. Can you tell me any place where fossils are forming today?
Fossils are forming in every environment today. It's happening underneath the surface.
Is there any scientific evidence of
There's
fossils forming today?
beaches. You don't think that there's beaches where shells are getting buried, clams are getting buried that have
Clams
died
are getting buried
that will,
alive and in the
that will
closed
fossilize
position?
in the future?
No, you're imagining that. That's not observable science. We find hundreds, if not thousands, of petrified clams in the closed position. You can go to the beach and find 1 million seashells, but you don't find them closed and petrified. Had to be buried quickly. Probably Noah's flood made all the fossils in the world in 1 year.
In the Grand Canyon, from the bottom to the top, we see at the bottom layers single-celled organisms. Gradually, the fossils become more complex as you go up in the Grand Canyon. You get, mollusks and stuff like that. And at the top, you actually are getting fish.
Right.
So we don't see this.
And I know as well as all of you do that Gracious Crybaby Kent knows this stuff. What CC is doing here is using the opportunity to layer out the multidisciplinary concordance of facts for the age of the Earth, the progression of life on the planet, in a very elegant way, slipping the information in to Kent's video. That's what he's doing here. And that's fucking awesome. Meaning that everyone who watches this stream will hear all the actual evidence. And hopefully, if they actually have the capability to think about it, might look into it independent of Hovind and might, just might, begin to realize how lied to they've been.
Order that flood geology tells us that you see clams at the bottom, and then all the way to the top, you'll get the things that could swim better or what have you. That's not what the Grand Canyon shows.
Well, you're demonstrating you have been thoroughly indoctrinated with what they teach in the schools these days. I completely disagree. I think during a flood scenario with thousands of layers being deposited, every tide going up and down would scramble things. You could get all sorts of orders. You probably are generally going to get lighter creatures on top, though not always. Have you watched the video that made 30 years ago called Experiments in Stratification?
Experiments in Stratification is a piece of shit video, Kent. Which makes sense given that you as a piece of shit person will be recommending a piece of shit video.
Just Google that. Experiments in Stratification. He shows you can watch it happen. As the water flows sideways, it makes 8 or 10 layers at the same time. The layers form this way, not this way. Watch the video. Experiments in Stratification. It's been known for years. Okay.
I will. I mean, it's interesting in the Grand Canyon how at the top layer you have the Permian limestone, and throughout the layers of the Grand Canyon, you don't have any mammal fossils, you don't have any bird fossils, and you don't have any reptile fossils because those organisms had not evolved yet as of the Permian. So you do find them in higher layers of the Grand Staircase up toward Bryce Canyon in that area, but you do not find them in the Grand Canyon themselves, which is a point against flood geology.
Well, I know you wish to believe that, okay? Because the Bible says the scoffers are willingly ignorant of that flood because it represents the judgment. I understand why you don't want to believe in the flood. I really understand.
Yes. Magic Book says, full of bullshit, says people aren't going to like Magic Book full of bullshit. And when left with no other option, Kent just accuses the person of wanting to be arbitrarily evil. Rather than, acknowledging that maybe this just doesn't make sense. That's one of the shittier things you do, Kent, and that's saying a lot about you, but that's really, really, really fucking rude to assert how another person lives their life or why they feel the way they do. Up yours, money-grubbing piece of shit.
But Grand Canyon is a washed-out dam. The evidence is overwhelming. If you just look at it, look at Grand Canyon. Those lakes drained where they would have cut that canyon in a few days, not millions of years. And that area right there is where they find Monument Valley, the water was rushing around these what are today called buttes, okay, or it's all explainable by a rapid erosion. Grand Lake overflowed, started eroding the other side, ate its way backwards. Maybe this was 200 years after Noah's flood. I don't know. Maybe the ground had time to harden where it would hold a vertical cliff. I know our gravel pit here, they dug it for 60 years. They stopped digging 20 years ago. And the vertical cliff over behind Will's cabin is still soft. It collapsed 2 days ago, some of it in the rainstorm. So you can have a vertical cliff that is soft, hold for years. But anyway,
Well,
any
thank
other
you, Kent.
topics?
I appreciate that. Well, I wanted to, I wanted to say about Mormonism, I do agree that Mormonism is a horrible religion. And, 2 points to anybody that's trying to push Mormonism on you is that they interpreted some papyri, Egyptian papyri, interpreted that as the Book of Abraham. And it turns out it was part of the Egyptian
Okay, granted it's Creationist Crybaby bringing up, but all hell, we got Egypt being brought up.
Book of the Dead because they didn't know how to
Right.
translate that at that time. And Joseph Smith fell for that and called it the Book of Abraham. And he also
he was reading that
right.
he had a blanket up between him and his cousin or brother or somebody over there, and he would read it, claiming he's translating this ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics by a seer stone. I cover all that. It's a lunatic.
It's
religion.
interesting. It's a very interesting story. I mean, the formation of Mormonism. But anyway, thank you, Kent. And we'll talk again. I appreciate you giving me.
And it's a very interesting story, the formation of evolution religion. Very interesting story. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Any other ones there, Joseph?
Hello, sir.
Hello. Nicholas. Привет. Как
Yeah. I'm from Greece.
Fucking idiot. Here's an accent. Oh, he must be Russian. It's like, Greece, you fucking retard. It says there in his fucking name. Come on. God, Kent.
From Greece.
Oh, Greece. Let's see. What do I know? I don't remember much. Yeah. And go ahead. Okay.
If I have, do you want me to question anything you displayed or anything?
Say that one more time.
I'm saying.
Hell. I always do the mute thing.
Do you want me to question anything you said before you started talking to others, or anything, or in general?
Oh, just one question at a time, and let me answer. You give one question.
Okay, yeah, of course, one question at a time. That's good. What do you believe about, people saying like the universe came billions of years ago and the cosmic microwave background as a proof of the Big Bang?
Oof. This man doesn't follow much Hovind. I appreciate him calling in and contesting, but oof. I mean, this is the thing. Just with people like us, I mean, we don't expect not everyone's is into following this lolcow and thus hears all these talking points over and over like we do. But I feel like a definite primer on Hovind needs to be made because honestly, everything he believes can be surmised in probably a 30-minute video. An entire index on everything, all of his key talking points, to where anyone can instantly get, just caught up on what Hovind thinks, and then focus their energies more on just decimating him.
No, I don't think anybody is sure what causes the Big Bang or causes the microwave background radiation. There's an article on ICR.org.
Yes, ICR. More creationists, not scientists. Not the actual scientific community. They're just another bunch of dumbass creationists, Kent.
Institute for Creation Research that covers that in great detail. But there are quite a few evidences that the Earth simply cannot be billions of years old. If I told you this pencil was 10,000
Oh, yeah, here we go.
years old,
Yeah.
I think you could easily prove. You could say this is made by a company, Ticonderoga.
Yeah.
So I cover on my video number 1. If you watch seminar part 1, which I think it's in Greek on my, if it is, Joseph, it's in 42 languages.
Yeah.
Somebody translated my material into all the different languages, but 42 different languages. Seminar
Okay.
part 1, I give quite a few ways to show scientifically the Earth simply cannot.
Is it in Esperanto, Kent? Because if it's not translated into Esperanto, I ain't interested. Everything needs to be translated into the world's only auxiliary language.
Be billions of years old. Like the moon is getting farther away. The Earth is slowing down in its spin. The sun is burning up its fuel.
Stars don't burn, you incompetent fuck.
Continents are eroding into the ocean. The oceans are getting saltier. I cover probably 30 different ways to say, I'm sorry, it's not billions of years old. If you need billions of years for your theory, get a new. So as far as the background radiation.
Nicholas asked about Kent's opinion on the cosmic microwave background and the Earth being, or the universe being billions upon billions of years old. I'm not the best, but I can actually cut through pretty thick accents. Yeah, so just comes from caring about other languages, I guess, and also hearing a whole lot of broken English. But I find broken English beautiful. If, sadly, sometimes it does make things hard to understand. It just depends.
Radiation, I'd have to steer you to icr.org, where they have long articles on that.
Okay.
Next question.
Okay. What about the periods of the Earth? The Silurian, the Cambrian, did they exist at some point?
Kent has gone total potato face as the stream glitched. Hell yeah. Look at that. Oh, that is beautiful. I got sort of an Elephant Man thing going on. I am not an ape. I'm a hovened being. Oh, poor John Merrick. Everyone think happy thoughts about John Merrick. May he rest in peace. With his, skeleton on display. And no, Michael Jackson did not buy his skeleton.
Or are they made up?
They're all made up. No such thing. I'll show you. All over the world. All over the world, they find petrified trees standing up, running through all these layers. If you have a petrified tree standing up, running through all the layers, how long does a dead tree stand around in Greece before it falls over? Maybe in 1 or 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Not millions of years. Petrified trees that are standing up, running through all these layers, are found all over. It is just not common sense to say the layers are millions of years different in age. There's a coal mine here where we live, up north of us in Alabama, where they find petrified trees running through several seams of. I'm sorry, the coal had to form rapidly, all within 1 year. All of the layers, I think, formed in 1 year, just with the tide going up and down, up and down. If the Earth were covered in water, the tide would not be banging into continents and interrupted. So the tide would go up and down 200 feet, forming many layers, including layers
Kent said banging.
of dead trees that would turn to coal. They can make coal in the laboratory in 20 minutes.
Oh no, Kent's stream has been completely fucked. This second stream from last night just completely crapped out. Even worse than the other one.
So I think the evidence from petrified trees.
It's more correctly Kent's feed. Restream was working fine for them. Kent's feed was garbage.
Standing up tells us very clearly the layers are not millions of years different in age. In Joggins, Nova Scotia, there are hundreds of these petrified trees running through multiple layers of rock. So if you wish to believe they're different ages, you can, but it's just not common.
Yeah, Deviant, I definitely knew that was Esperanto. I don't know much Esperanto. Although I've grown very fond of the concept. You know, um, the daughter of the person who made the guy who invented Esperanto was a victim of the Holocaust. There's a sad fact. Yep. So, maybe try to pick up a bit of Esperanto and just in tribute to her and her dad. I don't know. Just thought me her dad survived the Holocaust. He wasn't involved in that. Um, or was he even still around? Actually, I'm not sure. Hang on. Shit. I can't remember when he passed. But she definitely was a victim of the Holocaust, just to bring it up.
It's not common sense. So yes, I would say my position is the geologic column does not exist anywhere in the world. It's made up. There's no such thing as a Jurassic period. No such thing.
Question. Did you believe that during Noah's flood, like before that, the world was different? Like it was, the continents were in different positions. Were they supercontinent or they were?
Yeah, the guy who signed Esperanto died in 1917, so he definitely wasn't around for that. Zamenhof and his wife Clara Silbernick raised 3 children: a son, Adam, and 2 daughters, Sophia and Lydia. All 3 were murdered by the Nazis. Yeah. Didn't mean to get dark with that, but that's one of those weird facts you learn about history and you never forget it. You know? Just try to keep some memories alive.
Probably you would not recognize anything from before the flood because the Bible says the water came from inside the crust of the earth, the fountains of the deep.
Well, see, apparently they use fucking Starlink, so the best I can guess is Starship exploding the other day must have knocked one of the satellites out of orbit or something. I joke. Also, I really wish we would just stop funding SpaceX, just cut the contracts, and, just any other company. I don't fucking care. ULA seems to have a track record of big rockets not fucking exploding all the goddamn time. But what do I know?
Deep broke open. Today, the world is 70% underwater. God formed it to be inhabited. So when God first made the world, it was mostly land. No, very little water. I would just be picking a number and guessing to say maybe the whole world was 80% land and 20% water. Today, it is only 70% water, 10% under ice caps, 10% under deserts. So what we're seeing is nothing similar to what Noah saw before. Everything changed.
Esperanto on Duolingo and stuff, I am not sure. I'm sure there's apps to help you learn Esperanto out there for all major platforms. There's got to be. I mean, the community would not be the Esperanto community if they weren't trying to make it approachable to people. If they didn't want people to learn it, give them an option. Someone out there would be like, let's make an app for this. It's got to be out there.
There'd be none of the content we see today would have existed. It was all changed because of that.
So it is possible that the continents, through the days that when it was raining, they were moving quickly within a span of only tens of days. And
yes, the Bible says in Genesis 6, the fountains of the deep broke open. There used to be water under the crust of the earth. There still is a lot of water in the crust of the earth. When they got down to the bottom of the ocean, they found hot water shooting up into the bottom, thermal. Well, if hot water is coming up into the bottom of the ocean, where does it have to be coming from? Down lower than that. There's still water in the crust of the earth, okay? Lots of it. So I think the crust of the earth is all cracked up like an eggshell. It still is today. And some of those cracks are still moving. I think you have some fault lines in Greece, don't you, that have earthquakes?
Yeah, Santorini. We do have some earthquakes. Yeah, people are.
Yeah, earthquake. So I believe that happened at the time of the flood. The water came out from inside. The crust then would sink in a few hundred feet, making the earth speed up a little bit in its spin. Not much, but speed up a little bit. Yeah. Shapes of the continents today is a pure coincidence based on the water level. If you raise or lower the water level
Crusty water. Harvin.
in the oceans, the shapes of the continents changes. If you lowered the water just 200 feet, you could walk anywhere in the world, like the kangaroos to get to Australia. Between Vietnam and Australia, that water is generally 30 or 40 feet deep.
Yeah.
Just Google continental shelf. Between Russia and Alaska,
Yeah.
the Bering Strait, 60 miles wide. If you lowered,
Except I'm pretty certain that's not the case at all. But, you know, again, what do I know? I didn't teach high school science, math, and bestiality for 15 years. Oops. Harvin didn't teach that. Harvin. Look at a search history. Don't look at a search history.
the oceans a few hundred feet, and I believe at the beginning of the flood was the ice age when the ice caps were huge. We know the ice came all the way down to Kansas City, Missouri. There's obvious evidence of an ice age. Making the ice caps bigger makes the oceans, and which makes the continents bigger. You could walk anywhere in the world for several hundred years after Noah's flood. So I think they could walk to Australia or hop. Kangaroos don't walk. But so yes, I think the shapes that we're seeing today of the continents would mean absolutely nothing to Noah from before the flood. Totally rearranged.
Yes. The last question before I finish. So there was a scientist I know that discovered the age of the Earth. He said, like it was Claire Patterson. He has said that the Earth was over 4 billion years old, and the Bible contradicts that. It says that it's almost 6,000 something years old. What do you believe, that Claire Patterson was right, or excuse me, is the Bible contradicting and obviously saying the truth about the age of the Earth? Or is Claire Patterson's idea of the Earth just?
I believe the earth is about 6,000 years old. If you read the Bible, it says Adam was 130 when his son was born. I made this chart of all the dates given from before the flood. It's from Genesis chapter 5. After the flood, you go to Genesis chapter 11. It gives you all the dates, how old they were when their son. It comes to about 6,000 years ago. Jesus said the creation.
I mean, I've got nothing to add here. We're just more documenting this and the way these two are interacting, because I'm just waiting for, honestly, this to get over so I can get ready to end my night.
Of Adam was the Matthew 19:4, Mark 10:6. The Bible says nothing died until Adam. So if someone wishes to believe the earth is billions of years old and there was millions of years of death.
Oh, he's going to say evolution's a religion of death, even though that's what Christianity is.
Like dinosaurs dying before man got here. They can believe they can believe that, but they're calling God a liar. In the 10 Commandments, God said he made everything in heaven and earth.
Yep, I'll call God a liar. Your God character is a fucking liar. And a rapist. And an absolute fucking monster. What you gonna do about it, Kent?
In 6 days. Exodus 20, Exodus 31. It's in the Bible a bunch of times. So I don't think the Bible could be any more clear. The Bible does teach the earth is about 6,000 years old. Everything lived at the same time. Dinosaurs lived with Adam and Eve. Nothing died till Adam sinned. Now, some people don't want to believe that. Well, that's fine. You can believe a different religion if you'd like. But evolution is a religion that they believe in. It is not observable. Okay.
Okay, that's it. That's it, Dr. Ken. Thank you. And before I finish, listen, my goal is to go out there and preach about the Christ and lots of interesting stuff. I will try to combine science and religion, and I want to become an astrophysicist and a science teacher. Those are my goals.
Okay.
I've been observing you for a long, not too much, but the past couple of months, maybe weeks around there. I've been seeing a lot of hate towards you. I saw about the closure of the channel in YouTube. Christ has said that if the world loves you, or if the world loves you, they will love you. If the world hates you, they will hate you because you believe in Jesus. So keep doing the right thing, keep believing in Jesus, keep repenting, and I will be praying for you and to be.
Oh man, and the whole time this dude's religious. Okay, so he was just wanting Hovind's tips on things. Oh, man. Had some hopes for this guy. Whatever. There's a reason Greece is in the shape it's in. Ooh, controversial statement from Yamato. I mean that facetiously. You know, in the same way one could say there's a reason America's in the shape it's in, and it's like, oh, well, you know. You mean it as a bit of a joke, but with that hinge of truth to it, the perfect kind of comedy. So not really facetiously, but you know. Anyway.
For you to be okay. Thanks again, and it was an honor. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, next one. I can't hear you. What now? We're done. Okay. Well, good. What is it? I got a bunch of people just showed up to tour our ministry. They're staying in cabin 10, 9, 10, and 11. So I'm going to go spend a few minutes with them. And
I got a bunch of people. I'm going to go spend a few minutes with them. Okay.
Take the tour tomorrow, Ben. We'll go around in the Jeep. You take the tour. You won't believe it. We're going to take the black Jeep that had the doors taken off. That thing will go 60 to 0 in 1 second when you hit a tree. We're going to try not to do that. Well, thank you for joining us. So to summarize, I believe the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate. God made everything in 6 days. He destroyed it with a flood in the days of Noah, and he's coming again for judgment again. My my chart behind me here shows about the history of the world according to the Bible. 6,000 years ago, God made everything. I have a smaller version of it right here. Same thing, only smaller. 6,000 years ago, God made everything. Big flood 4,400 years ago. Then God called Abraham to leave his country and start a new nation, the Jews. Here we are. Jesus died here. Here we are today, waiting for the Lord to come back. Probably any minute. So get my video series on what on earth is about to happen, for heaven's sake. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. No, Sunday. Oh, Psalm 78. I've been working on this. I can't believe all the stuff that's in that psalm. Come Sunday morning, 10:30.
Hey, there's the dino thing I was talking about. Look at that. It's a dino. I kind of like that, honestly. It's kind of cute. Okay. We're done. We're fucking done. Oh, man. This was an ordeal. I do it for y'all, though. Do it for y'all. I completed it. I didn't plan to. I didn't want to. But I did it. I sacrificed my night of playing Guild Wars for this. Y'all know the score. Be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not. I posted that Discord link a while back, but seems like no one else was wanting to hop in there. So I guess we reached saturation with my community and Discord, which is fine. But I'll still share the link on occasion. It's expired by now. That was a 30-minute link. What else? As my chair squeaks. Squeaky chair. Ah, yeah. We survived. I am the tomato, Hovind. You got to give Hovind some credit for the fact that he came up with the Caruso tomato thing, and we've just completely embraced it. It's the ultimate case of taking power from somebody, using a word against you. But yeah. I'm tired. I can get in a good 20 minutes of Guild Wars before I need to go to sleep, and the stupid time change happens tonight, so we're going to lose an hour. Fuck daylight savings time. Ban that shit. GMT -6, and we should stay GMT -6. But I'm going to wake up in the morning, and it's going to be GMT -5 here. Because we're fucking idiots. But anyway, much love as always. Like I said, like, share, do all that stuff. Comment after the fact. It helps something with Al Gore's rhythm or something. And, this was a long stream. If you get a few spare bucks and want to toss them my way after the fact, you can always toss a super thanks on the video or any of my videos whenever you feel the urge. So again, much love. Catch everyone next time.